Hello and welcome to Rant on Reels. I'm Michael Fooch and this is my co-host today, Xavier. How you doing, Xavier?
I'm doing great. I'm loving life. I'm ready to talk about some movies.
Did you have a good week?
No, I did not.
Why?
Because my fantasy team got destroyed. I was in first place, 12-2 record, scoring 130 points a game. And then come first round of the playoffs, my team can't even score 60 points. So, great day for me.
I lost my championship 1-2. Thank you, Todd Gurley, for being injured on the championship game and announcing it 5 minutes before kickoff. I appreciate that.
That's wonderful.
Other than fantasy football, how's everything?
Pretty fair, pretty good. Getting ready for Christmas. It's that time of year.
Yeah, we are on our Christmas show. I got a little festive, a little Star Wars-y, Christmassy.
I got more Transformers-y, so.
Yeah. Well, my week was a little different. You know what? It was a rough week in movies for me.
Yeah. You had to watch two of the franchises you hate the most.
Well, no, I don't. Not that I hate. No, see, let's be clear here.
Okay.
Superman is probably my favorite character of any character. So the DC franchise I love. Their direction is a different story, and I love the Transformers. So my hatred to the movies comes out of love, right? That you have to remember this.
All right, fair enough.
But I saw it was a rough week watching movies for me. I saw one movie of the four that I saw in theaters that I enjoyed, and we'll get into that in a moment or two.
Yeah, and guys, make sure you don't forget to like and subscribe. We're on YouTube now. We're on iTunes, so just go everywhere because we're everywhere. We're going to be invading every single platform that we can. Yeah. So hit that like and then hit that subscribe button right underneath as well.
Speaking of likes and subscribes, if you were listening last week, you made a promise that you were unable to fulfill. Do you want to elaborate on that to our viewers and listeners?
Well, in life, people make promises and they get let down.
But do you want to inform them what promise you made?
We don't have to talk.
I think we should. One. So I'm new to Instagram, and one of the biggest things I forget to do is to post things or take pictures because I'm not a social media guru like Xavier is.
I'm not a guru, but continue.
You don't have social media game?
I just have social media. I do not have the game on lock.
I think you do, but that's another story. But so he was supposed to remind me to take pictures when we went to see the movies of me going into these movies. And did you remember to do that?
No, I forgot. I'm sorry. I'll show you how to set reminders on your iPhone.
You'll have to do that for me. Is there anything big going on in the movie world that you want to talk about? Any stories?
Well, have you seen the new Sonic poster for the new Sonic movie?
I have not. What's that about?
So Sonic's getting a movie.
That I've heard.
They did the first poster and it looks quite odd. The character. So,
what do you mean? It's just a blue guy with some.
Well, yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. But his legs are human-y, so it's humanoid.
But doesn't he have human legs in the video games?
No, he has just regular sneakers. His legs are like a sprinter. Imagine someone that's really, really. I guess they're trying to do a realistic approach with the character, which is always wrong when you.
Wait! They're gonna turn. I don't know if that's gonna be the smartest approach. But now I have a question. I don't watch previews and I don't know I'm not really following this movie. But do you think a Sonic movie can be good?
Probably. I don't know. I used to watch the TV show as a kid. Didn't really care for it. There's 3 TV shows. I think there's Sonic Underground, which had the 3 hedgehogs playing guitar.
There are Sonic TV shows.
Yeah. See, there you go.
I know there's video games. I played those. I didn't know there were TV shows on Sonic.
And then there was Sonic X, which was on Fox Kids, and that was okay as well. I don't know. Sonic was never really cool to me. I liked the games in the 90s, and that's about it. And then every game has been terrible since the 90s. So
since Nintendo bought it?
Yeah. Not even since it was before that. It was been bad, right? So, yeah, I don't know. I don't see this movie being good. And I remember they had there was a huge article, like one of the paragraphs, the director was talking about how he had to set up the eyes. So I can't wait to see what his face
Is the movie filmed? Is it done? Is it?
No, I don't think it's done yet, but they're talking about the design of the character so far.
So is this a movie you're looking forward to?
I want to see how. I'm looking forward to how the character looks, because it's just based on the poster, but that's about it. I wouldn't say the movie.
All right. Well, let's get into the movies this week. So we saw Aquaman and Into the Spider-Man or the Spider-Verse and Bumblebee. I saw Second Act as well, but we unfortunately will not be having the time to talk about that one. Is there a movie you want to start with?
Let's start with Aquaman.
So
the best movie that we had.
Well, we'll see if we will share that opinion at the end of our review. But at this moment, if you do not like spoilers, please turn this podcast off, because we will be talking in depth on this movie and spoiling them like no end, as well as any movie in the DC universe or in the Transformers universe or maybe even the Marvel universe.
Every single Spider-Man movie, every single Marvel movie, everything's getting spoiled.
Everything's game. Everything's game in our discussion.
The original Transformers movie, Transformer TV shows, everything.
Everything's fair game. Okay, so let's talk about Aquaman.
The greatest character in the DC has.
No, you know what? I actually want to talk about that because, you know, the one thing I noticed in this movie is I think we all can understand that Aquaman's kind of the butt of the jokes in the superhero universe, right? That's a fair statement?
Yeah, no one really understands his powers, how it works. Everyone's like, well, if you just take him out of the water, what can he do?
Exactly. And I remember we went to Toronto Fan Expo one year, and Jason Momoa was there, and that was someone actually asked him that question, in which Jason Momoa, we can't say some of the things he said because they're not appropriate.
Yes,
but he went to school.
Defensive.
Yes, because that's the thing. Even in Big Bang Theory, when they're kind of dressing up as the Justice League, nobody wants to be Aquaman.
Yeah, he's always the butt of the joke. I'm not gonna lie. I've never read an Aquaman comic ever. That character never appealed to me. I'd seen him as a feature. And sometimes he even looked cool, but I'd just be like, nah.
I thought, you know what, and to give Justice League some credit, like, I didn't think they did a bad job with Aquaman in Justice League. Like, they made him tough, like, whatever. He was, you know, interesting, tough.
Kind of reminded me a bit of the 90s era Aquaman, where he had the long hair and the beard. And
yeah. Kind of like a biker version of Aquaman. That's that, and you know, kind of to deal with that in a second. But right off the bat, I thought that the director of this movie decided we're gonna put him over. We're gonna make him uber cool. Like, I thought that's what they were going for. And really, the first scene we see of him is in this submarine, where he just kicks butt.
Yeah.
And I think they actually go too far in doing this.
He wasn't that strong in Justice League either.
No, not even how strong. These are humans. I'm okay with it. But he, to try to be this cool superhero, he lets someone die. Mm-hmm. Like, just lets them die. Like, to me, that's like the opposite of a hero. Like, I'm just saying, like, we talk about, like, Batman, who's, like, the darkest of, like, all these superheroes. And that's, like, his one rule. We don't let people die.
Yeah, because if you can save somebody and you let them die, that technically counts as killing in Batman's eyes. Yeah,
pretty much he says, you deserve what he gets. That's exactly what Aquaman says to this guy as he lets him die. And we'll talk about that scene in a moment, but I just kind of want to talk overall of what I thought, like, of the character of Aquaman.
Yeah, I kind of, he felt a little bit too much for me, a little too, like, I liked his jokes. It was pretty good, but it didn't, when the tone of a movie is another way, where it wasn't as funny, then they try to switch the tone. It's kind of weird. You're not used to it, because they tried to go dark, and now they're trying to take this lighter, more fun path, which is weird. If they picked to go the fun path, it would make more sense.
Exactly, because and that's what I want to talk about. Like, we have to follow the continuity of Justice League, right? You just can't ignore the character that you create and be like, you know what? We didn't like this, so we're just going to be like, no, we're going to take that part off.
Yeah.
And what you see in this movie is, like Xavier said, it's a very different tone. We have the humor of the Marvel Universe, but they have not yet jumped on to the plot being more important than the special effects.
Yeah, you find studios always take the wrong concept of things when they have a successful movie. They're like, why is the Marvel franchise successful? Because it's funny.
Nope.
And that's clearly not the case. It's because everything's structured.
Structured character development. And this is what Marvel has learned. Less is more. When Marvel, I would make the argument that in the Marvel universe, they're not action movies. That each individual movie, when we're talking about like individual superhero movies, they have their own uniqueness. Like the first Ant-Man movie, it's a heist movie at its core. The Winter Soldier is a political thriller. You know, every movie has their own kind of niche that they're trying to deal with. And then when they get together to make the Avenger movies, now you have these action movies.
Yeah, the big time movies.
Now they go to the more part. Like Infinity War, you're nonstop go. But you wouldn't see that in any of the Captain America movies. Mm-hmm. You're on the edge of your seat. Oh my God, what's the next action sequence? They have come to this realization that we don't need special effects. Like the Russo brothers, who have done the last two Captain America movies and Infinity War, they have said, we don't want to use CGI where not needed. We want to make the effects as real as we want. Christopher Nolan was the same in the DC universe when he had control of the Batman franchise. And how did those movies turn out?
Terrible. I think those are the worst Batman films ever.
I don't know if they know your sarcasm yet to know that, but
yeah, they were great. Obviously, everyone knows I really like The Dark Knight, and I really like the Dark Knight Rises as well.
Absolutely. And again, Nolan is very much from that universe. Let's not rely on CGI. Let's not blow everything up every 5 seconds. Let's create story. Let's create character development. And it's like Marvel said, oh, that works for the Batman. Why don't we take those elements and in our story arc and how we're going to tell stories, and we'll succeed much more. So I agree with you. I think they take the wrong thing from it.
Yeah. And it's not just Warner Brothers and DC. A lot of movie franchises do the same thing. They do. Fox does it a lot.
But like the one big thing after making like an Avengers movie, which is like to the T, the next couple movies they backtrack. They go back to saying, okay, well we can't. One problem I feel like sequels have is they always want to one up each other. We need a bigger bad, and then a bigger bad, and then a bigger bad. But the MCU has realized that, you know what, once you have these team-up movies, if you go bigger than that for an individual movie and you don't bring the team there, it's like it takes away from the team movies.
Yeah.
You have to kind of structure
it. Makes you
that.
wonder where is everybody at? Especially, you can't have every movie being a world event. You have to put it all in little different structures, right?
So those are the overall things that I saw like right off the top. I thought that they really tried to make Aquaman a badass, and that they've changed the tone, but they've kept they took the wrong portion of it. They took the humorous tone, a little bit more light, but they definitely went style. CGI.
To be fair, though, it is underwater, so they would need more CGI.
Fair enough, but we're going to talk about like some of the action sequences. The Godzilla monster at the end of the movie, whatever his name is, the Kraken. Whatever the version of it, I have it written down, but I don't remember how to. I don't know actually to say it. Mm-hmm. But so when I'm looking at this review, and I don't know if you're going to agree with me on this, but I'm a very continuity plot person. I've told you this in every time we've podcasted. I'm always on that plot and story. So when I'm looking at this movie, I have to look at Justice League. If there are differences in Justice League from this movie, if there's inconsistencies, they play into a role in how I'm watching this movie. I don't know if you feel the same way.
No, it definitely plays a role, especially if you're trying to build a universe. Yeah. Oh my God, I can't say the word right now. So can you say it for me?
Continuity?
Please? Thank you.
I'm here for it, buddy.
All right. Yeah, that's a big thing. If it's just a one-off movie, then I don't try and look into it. Like, say, James Bond. If they don't try to build a universe, it's always just one separate until mind you, the later ones have the same kind of structure now going forward, but the later halves were just one-off adventures.
And I'm not talking about like a little thing like a dates off. Like I'm not talking about the little things. I'm talking about big, huge story arcs. So
big events.
So before we start talking about the movie Aquaman, I want to talk about the one gaping thing that has already hurt this movie in my eyes. So we find out that Arthur Curry has never been to Atlantis. That was a big thing that we saw in Aquaman.
Yeah.
Never been there. And we find out that you can't sneak in there either. Like, there is like one way in. No one's ever gone above the walls. There's one way in, and you have to be in a car. You can't even.
Yeah.
Or
this
not a
is
car,
Donald
but a ship.
Trump's dream wall situation.
Yes, absolutely. Now, so he's never been into Atlantis. But now let's go back to Justice League, where one of the boxes was in Atlantis, and he actually says when he's talking to Commissioner Gordon, they took the box from Atlantis that he was there for.
And he fought Steppenwolf there, and he lost. So
Yes.
How did he get there? And was that Atlantis, or was he just, actually, this is not safe for Chid, so I'm not going to say it, but
It's just
it doesn't make sense.
Your most fundamental thing, and this kind of goes to the next thing. In this movie of Aquaman, it seems like Arthur Curry has no idea what's going on in Atlantis. Like, he no history of the Atlanteans. He has no idea of their culture, their way of life. But if you go back to watch Justice League, it's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
He doesn't know really about the human world. He lived in Atlantis. Like, that's the mentality we get. He knew about the boxes. He knew that the Atlanteans went to war with the Amazons. Like, he mentions this in the movie. Like, I had to do some rewatching of Justice League for this podcast, which is again why I'm a little grumpy with my movie watching this week, because it's been brutal. But we see that the role he plays, this dark character in Justice League, which again I liked. We don't see that same character now. He's like, I don't know about Atlantis. I've never been there. Is there's people there? I don't know. They have customs. They have cultures.
Killed my mom. I hate Atlantis.
No, he doesn't even know that, right? He doesn't know that in Justice League. He
Justice
finds that
League
out in Aquaman. He doesn't know that. He's like, he knows like his mom, like he thinks his mom chose Atlantis over him, and that his mom left. What he says to Mira in Justice League is that his mom left him on his dad's doorstep, which we don't see in this movie.
Yeah.
We see that they live together happily. There's pictures of them together. Yeah. This isn't, I left you at my doorstep. This is, I left at like 1 year old.
Yeah. And because it was for the greater good.
Yeah, for the greater good. And then Mira kind of says that in Justice League. And like, so I don't want to harp on that too much, because I think there is stuff there that is in Aquaman, but the knowledge of the world, the fact that he was been in Atlantis, are two major things that even before I even watching this movie, I have a hard time grasping, because you've now said, you know what, we didn't like how Justice League turned out. We had a movie with like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and the Flash, and we couldn't even make that much money, so let's try to change things to try to get a better direction. And as someone who is very big into movies, I can't let that go. And I'm sure a lot of you are like, oh, come on, let it go. Like, it's not that big of a deal. But if you're telling a story, like imagine if you're watching a universe and it's like one long story. If you're reading one of your favorite books and then a character in the first book is like this goody two shoes, and the second one they're like, you know what, he's too good, we're gonna give him like a limp, we're gonna give him like a fake leg. You'd be like, what? That he's always had this fake leg? No, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
The other thing I didn't like is that when Bruce Wayne actually confronts Aquaman in the north, then I want to say Norway
or Denmark or something.
Denmark,
like
where he is. This is where he goes. Like, this is the only time he comes afloat, right? That's why Bruce Wayne Bruce Wayne goes all the way there, because that's the only place. He's like this mythical creature, Aquaman, and he goes there speaking Norwegian. Seeing that he's the protector of this little village in Norway, and when Bruce says, "Don't you care about humans?" And to quote him saying, "I don't care if the seas rise. Global warming. I don't care about you humans." Now, right off the beginning of this movie, we see like Arthur come to see his dad, embrace him. They drink together. They're buddies. You're telling me that you're okay with your dad dying in Justice League, and then in Aquaman you're like, oh my god, like my dad's the most important person in the world to me. What changed?
Maybe it was Steppenwolf. Maybe it was the threat of extinction.
Yeah.
But I see what your point is in that. That's very hilarious that you noticed that. I also noticed that he was saving submarines now as well when they were
And
Like,
that to me, that makes sense, right? Now he wants to be a hero. I'm okay, and again, I'm okay with that. But I do want to talk about the submarine here for a second. So basically, what happens is these, do we call them terrorists or
pirates?
Pirates, sorry, pirates. That's the right word.
Pirates,
Apologies, they're pirates. So the pirates take over these nuclear subs, and they come in with these huge machine guns, and they start shooting everyone in the subs.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this. Now, I'm not a science person, so don't quote me on this.
Don't tell me you noticed. I know what part you're talking about.
They're shooting up a submarine. The air pressure in those submarines, if you shoot through them, you're gonna blow up the sub.
Okay, not even only that. Okay, so you notice this is one of my problems with the movie. So in Aquaman, the dad gets trapped by one of the weapons, one of the torpedoes. Right? They're fighting in the torpedo bay. The dad is on the torpedo bay, right? To get his son to stop helping him, he pulls a grenade out and has it hold up in the weapon with all the explosions.
All the torpedoes.
All the torpedoes. Now, I don't know about science or anything, but if you set off an explosion in
the torpedo bay,
in the torpedo bay,
the entire sub is going down.
All right. I noticed. I'm like, okay, everybody should be dead. Like
not everyone, because everyone had left, but
everybody that was left on the ship.
But that submarine is going to now used by the Atlanteans to do some damage. But that makes no sense. So I look at that nuclear sub scene. I'm like, okay, I liked it. I liked Aquaman coming in and saving the day, but I feel like there's aspects of it that were just not needed. Like that just didn't work with reality.
Yeah.
And again, you're just trying to push a story forward. I think this is a theme that we're going to talk about as we continue with this review. Is that everything in this movie it was there just to push the story forward. Nothing else. Just continue. We need to write this in to push the story forward.
Yeah, 100%. I felt the same way with that Aquaman movie as well.
The one thing I do want to talk about is, Wonder Woman is narrated. But it's narrated because it's a story that takes place in the past, and it's narrated through letters that Wonder Woman or Diana sends to Bruce Wayne. Now, Aquaman is also narrated. I didn't like this. I thought this was a fail by the director and the producers of this movie, because where is this narration coming from? Why is he narrating it? It's not like the rest of the universe that they've created. This isn't being told 50 years in the future, or he's not telling this to his kids. Even in not to bring up the MCU, but even in Thor, where we see the narration by Anthony or by Odin to his kids, he's teaching them about the history. Yeah. So it makes sense in some cases. But did you like it? There was narration at the beginning and at the end.
Beginning. The only reason why it didn't make sense is because we don't know who she's talking to. Maybe it was Tamara. Volko.
We don't know. We don't see that. So. Again, I didn't particularly like this decision to use narration. Again, I think it's a cheap ploy that they use. So then, after we get through this narration scene, it's mom meeting dad. So, what's her face? Atlanta and Tom, they meet each other. Nicole Kidman's character, Atlanta, or it is Atlanta, right?
Atlanta.
Yeah. So she's injured. She comes to this lighthouse, and Tom sees her, grabs her, and she's unconscious. Goes into the house. They fall in love. Okay, no issues there. Arthur, she chooses to leave after she's attacked by soldiers from Atlantis. And then, even though she's gone, Arthur is trained by Volko.
Secretly
trained by Volko. Any problems with that?
The issue is why was he sent? Who knew? What was the reason behind that? That's what I really wanted to know. More of an explanation on that.
Yeah, because we find out later on as he's older that everyone knows about this bastard child, right? This oldest child that's half human, half Atlantean. So did they know about him that early? Was it later? We just don't know. Arthur always asks Volku, do you, can I see my mom now? Can I see my mom now? But I feel like the mom died really young,
really early.
So there's a lot of questions that I have, more than they answered in the movie.
Yeah, clearly there was no answers on that. Another question I'd have is if he's training him to be the king. So what was his purpose, to train him to return to become the king, or
If you ask the mom, definitely, but I don't know. I don't know the purpose of the training. It never answered those questions.
Yeah.
So we also find out a lot about Atlantis. So Atlantis used to be 7 kingdoms, and in order for anyone to be in charge, 4 kingdoms have to agree. Yeah. But like a bunch of kingdoms are destroyed. So Orm, who wants to be the leader of all of Atlantis again,
the
Ocean Master, goes to see King Nereus, right? Yeah. Mira's father. And basically tries to get him to agree because he's the next most powerful powerful kingdom behind Atlantis. So in order to get him to join his side, he uses that submarine that those pirates stole and attacks the meeting. And as soon as that happens, Nereus pledges his allegiance. What do you think of that scene?
Well, the scene, I have concerns about that scene. Okay. So I'm going to skip ahead to a little bit after where he knew that it was a fake, but he joined anyways. So what was the point of that fake out for the
I know. Again, right? No point. And again, the whole thing about the sub surviving to have another villain, right? Because we need like 4 villains in this movie to make it work. Mm-hmm. No, we don't.
So what I thought was like, why don't we just like, if he was going to join anyway, just write it so he's going to join anyways. Yeah. Why have that scene? It was pointless,
right? But they needed to have Black Manta involved, and how do you have Black Manta involved? They need to steal a sub for Orm. So if you don't have that, it's like, again, they had to have this another villain. You didn't need Manta in this movie at all.
Manta was not, like, he wasn't very significant in this movie. No. At all. There wasn't. I hate saying that because I actually like Black Manta.
But he should be his own villain. He should be a villain in his movie. Yeah. Agreed. Because you could have just had, and we're going to talk about a scene in Italy, in Sicily. You didn't need to have him there. It could just been just commandos from Atlantis. They didn't need the Black Manta to be there.
100%. So he wasn't necessary.
Exactly. But so again, he joined anyway. Yeah. So after King Nereus joins forces, Orm launches an attack on Earth. And we see this through all the garbage from the ocean being thrown on the Earth. We see tidal waves destroying like different land masses, including in Maine where his father is. And Mira saves the father, while Arthur is, trying to help as well.
Yeah.
Now,
he's trying to swim through it.
Here's my problem with this. Because the entire world is at stake. We see news reports all over the world saying that this is like a global issue. Like this is hugely problematic. What's the problem?
There's a massive attack. That's not normal. No one has an attack.
And if the world's under attack, who do you normally call when in a universe that's being constructed?
The Justice League.
The Justice League. So Batman, who we've already established from Batman vs Superman, will fly to help Metropolis when there's a huge attack.
Well, Isn't there? Movie, Metropolis is in that universe. Metropolis is across.
Yeah, but this movie takes place over days.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying.
Wonder Woman, who flies to London on her weekends to go save the day in Justice League. Mm-hmm. Superman, who can fly across the world in Second. The Flash, who can run anywhere. You can't call one of your buddies.
No, he had to do it himself. They didn't have the rights to the other characters.
So Mira basically says, "Come with me," and Arthur goes with her to Atlantis. Now, why do these Atlanteans need ships? Because the only way into Atlantis is to be on a ship and to sail in. And you need credentials to get in too. Yeah. Mira has diplomatic credentials, we find out.
Yeah, I always thought it was weird that they had ships when they could just swim. It seems like they can swim way faster than the actual ship as well. Right? You see Aquaman go like at the speed of sound. Right?
Yes.
Underwater.
Exactly. So there's no Justice League because they want to make this a solo movie. And again, this is where less is more. If you didn't have the world under attack, you don't need the Justice League. You can just keep it in the water. But when you bring it to land and you make it like when you make it the Atlanteans' goal is to kill the humans if they get all of the four kingdoms in line, well, guess who are going to help the humans? The Justice League.
Yeah.
So they're in direct confrontation with the it doesn't make any sense. So I don't understand why Arthur doesn't seek help. Instead of seeking help, he goes with this girl who he doesn't even know her name. So
he met her once,
but he doesn't know her name. He doesn't know Mira's name until after the father is saved, or maybe just before that sequence.
I think he asked her, "What's your name again?" After he saved.
He's like, "You haven't even told me your name." Like, oh, but you're gonna go to that person instead of the Justice League, who you actually know, and who have helped you save the world already,
and who's easily manhandled one of the characters. But I guess he has to, beat them in front of everybody so they can accept him as king.
Oh,
with no foreign outsiders.
And don't also forget the love story that they're also creating between the two of them, right?
Yeah,
they hate each other, but they don't really hate each other. So they go into Atlantis. They sneak in. They go to the bottom somewhere where no royalty goes, and we find out that Volku, who is actually the vizier of the king, is trying to overthrow the king and use Arthur to do this.
Yes.
Okay. And their solution to getting rid of Orm is to find the main trident, right?
Yes.
King Atlan's trident. And they don't know where it is. All they have is this clue.
That cylinder thing.
It's a cylinder thing. They have to go take it to the desert people to figure it out. The only reason I'm going to harp on this is because when we find out where it is, it makes no sense. But I'll get there because we're not there yet.
Egypt. We're there.
The Sub-Sahara. It's in the middle of the Sahara. But not even that. Later on in there.
Egypt.
So, even though this is the royalty never goes there, somehow they found out, and Arthur is captured. Yes. But Volku and Mira have to leave because they're like the right and left hand person to Orm. So his right and left hand are literally against him.
Wife, one's the
not wife,
future
fiance, wife to be.
One's the fiance and one's the advisor dude, and they can't be seen here. But wouldn't someone be like, okay, clearly you didn't get here by yourself. Someone has to have helped you,
right? Especially because, and they'll have this I'm not like they have the technology to have holograms. They don't have video cameras to see the people that come in and be like, oh look,
he was in the car with her.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like as you're coming in, don't you be like oh, there's a picture of Arthur going in. He's with Mira, but no. As soon as Orm has in his huge throne room. He's sitting with, again, Mira to his left, Volku to his right,
dude.
And then Arthur's chained up. And basically, he's baited by Orm. Arthur is baited by Orm to challenge him for the throne. Mm-hmm. In the Ring of Fire.
How do they have fire?
Oh, that's one of the things I'm going to talk about. It's not even just in there. But there's fire all over the water. Makes sense, right? Because you don't need oxygen for fire. There's no need here. So they're in this fight in the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. I would assume that's where it is.
Yeah.
And Orm's like, what have I done? I promised his mother I would protect him, and this is not even a fight. This is an execution. And I don't know. Did you find this like that Arthur was that outmatched?
No, it was pretty close.
I mean, at the end, yes, Arthur does lose the battle, which, again, this kind of going back to Justice League. He was able to take in Steppenwolf by himself for a little bit underwater.
Yeah.
Don't you think he's strong? Like, wouldn't you imagine he would be able to win that fight?
Well, I don't know.
I know. For character development, they had to have him lose. Yeah. But this, to me, is why this movie should have been made before Justice League, because I don't think that you can have other Atlanteans be stronger than him? Because then why would the Justice League want Arthur and not one of the other Atlanteans?
Yeah, fair enough. I feel like they may have not said it. Maybe he lost because he was distracted and upset.
Exactly.
Could have been, but they never mentioned that.
But exactly, and again, I just want to go back to Justice League for a second. This box is like a prized possession that they're supposed to guard. If they lose this box, don't you think that the other Atlanteans that are stronger would be sent to help get the box back?
Yeah, and on top of that, where was Orm when the box got
right? That just leads to more questions, which again is why this movie should have been made first, or make it a prequel and not a sequel.
Yeah,
they made it a year after. It was only mentioned once, Steppenwolf, by Mira, that you were able to defeat Steppenwolf. You're clearly good. Again, you're just missing things. So the only reason that Arthur survives is Mira commits treason and saves him.
Yeah.
On a ship. Mm-hmm. And then everyone else, instead of going to go after the ship, they got in their own ships and chase them. And Mira, to escape, goes over a wall. Yeah. The wall that no one has ever gotten over.
Yeah, and then they got shot down, and then they got out and swam away. Which again, why did they need the ship? Why is the ship needed, right? Yep,
that's what I'm saying. They made sure, and you know what the best part is? If they didn't put that line in there that no one's ever escaped it before, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. Yeah. But the fact that, why did you put that line in there that no one's ever escaped? Like, we have torrents all over the place. Mm-hmm. But no, it's easy. Apparently, it's very easy to get out of Atlantis.
Even though when I saw that, I did see, like, on the structure, I saw, like, if I was in there, I kind of figured out a way how I would be able to get up there.
And how would you do it?
I would try to do the same thing with Mirror, but I'm a better pilot, so I would have gotten shot.
Oh, boy. So, after this, they go to Sahara Desert to see the desert people. And they go on, they're flying over on a plane into the middle of the Sahara Desert. Because apparently the Sahara Desert used to be full of green, which it did thousands and thousands of years ago. So like at the beginning of the Earth. So they jump out of the airplane and then they find Atlan's chamber, the place where the trident was built. So like this gives me a bunch of questions, more questions than answers. My first question is, how big was Atlantis?
Pretty. Yeah, where did it go from?
Had to go from the north to the Sahara to most of Europe to the middle of the Atlantic.
Yeah, I don't know where it went from there. They remember there were 7 kingdoms, so maybe each 7 kingdom had a different area.
Where they were in the desert people, that was the treasury of Atlan. Wouldn't the treasury be in an important area? City. Like think of it from like any empire, right? You don't put if you're the Roman Empire, you don't put your main treasury in Asia Minor. Yeah. You put your main treasury in Rome or just around Rome, like the main area of it.
Yeah, I don't know what the geography they were thinking with that is as well.
But this also leads me to another question. How long ago did Atlan rule? Because if the Sahara used to be water, that it did happen. But when was this? Because we find out in Sicily that apparently Atlan knew who the Roman emperors were. Because that was like the clue, right? The clue was go follow the king or leader, and they had to put that little the glass in front of the eye to find out the direction.
The Romulus.
Romulus. You're right. It wasn't the emperor. It was Romulus. Yeah. But Romulus is after the Trojan War. So again, it doesn't add up. History. And again, maybe I'm nitpicking. Call it nitpicking, but it doesn't work for me.
No, I agree. It's very strange how they structured that part.
And another question I have: why can't all the Atlanteans breathe above water? Only the people of royal birth can breathe above water. What about those Atlanteans can give them that?
Well, when you're born into, I think what it's called, privilege. The Atlanteans have white privilege and decide that they can breathe over water, which is a little bit messed up. We need to look out for the.
Can I just bring this up for a second?
The fisherman.
How can Volku breathe above water? He's not of royal blood.
But he's part of the royal family.
No, he's not. He's a visor. He's not a royal family. A royal family means you're like related to the royal family.
We don't know if he's. Isn't he part of? Didn't he say he was part of the one kingdom? He was the second kingdom that joined.
No, Volku, the William Dafoe's character.
William
the
Dafoe, wasn't he? So there's 4 kingdoms, right?
No, he's part of the Atlantean kingdom. He's the one who trained him when he was younger.
I swear Volku was part of a different kingdom. No. They said it at the beginning. Because, like, think about it. There's...
But then he's not even an Atlantean. How can he breathe underwater? That's even more of a comment. If he's not part of he's not Atlantean. Only the Atlanteans can breathe above water. That makes sense, right? Like if you're part of a different kingdom, you can't breathe the water because you have a different biological state. But if you're Atlantean and you're not royal blood, how can you breathe above water?
Strange, and they weren't. And didn't they used to breathe above water?
Right? Oh, and let's talk about how the hell they got out of the desert. They're in the middle of the Sahara. They needed a plane to get there. The next scene we see them, they're in
Sicily.
They're in Sicily. Just get there, right like that.
Well, Mira has water power, so she probably...
In the middle of a desert, she needed to... In order to get her water power, she needed to take the sweat out of Arthur.
Well, they probably took his pee and then created like a water slide and zipped across the desert. I don't know, man. They decided they did this. Or maybe they found a cactus and like took the water from there. Who knows?
So anyway, they get to Sicily. The clue says, "Look in the eye of Romulus," and Arthur figured out all himself to show he's got some brains.
He's not an idiot.
But again, I just ask how Atlan would have known that if he's been dead. So they have this big fight scene with Black Manta. Black Manta has this mask that would make Darth Vader proud.
Yeah.
That shoots like
red beams of destruction.
And they show how he makes it, but how does he know how to use Atlantean technology?
I think, well, we don't know how long, because remember, he had a conversation with King Orm, and he may have showed him how to use the technology beforehand.
I'll give you that.
We don't know that. We don't have the full details of that, but like I said, Black Manta wasn't a necessity to be.
And I'll say it was a decent fight sequence. Like I had nothing against the fight sequence. I thought it was pretty good. It was well done, but in general, you didn't need Black Manta to make it better.
No.
It would have been just as good if it was just the
regular
like the commandos of the Atlanteans.
Yeah.
So Arthur gets hurt. Mira takes care of him on the way, and they're going to where the trident is, and it's in the trench.
Yeah.
Now,
the lost ocean.
It's not a lost ocean. That's where they throw all their people when they're bad. That's where the mom got thrown. Yeah. That's their punishment pit. So my question becomes this:
it's like a paradise.
Well, no, that's the center of the earth.
Oh, okay.
The trench is where all those creatures are.
Yeah.
So they just happen to fight their way through the creature, which is tough to do. So anyway, my question becomes this: why did they explain to me how that they didn't know the trench, they would need to go to the trench to begin with? Like, why did they have to go on this huge tour, this huge adventure, just to go to the trench where they, I don't know. I don't know if they know how to make sense. Because I'm confused.
People that go to the trench are killed, so they wouldn't know that it was there.
Maybe.
No one knew it was there. It was hidden.
Maybe. But anyway, this trench is in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, right?
Yeah. So
you tell me humans have never gone there? Would they have been attacked by these creatures too? Or did they just smell Atlantean blood and that's where they go after?
Who knows? Maybe those humans that are there. Do you think that if the humans were attacked by all of those creatures, there'd be any survivors though?
I guess. If you're gonna do that, then why don't you make it in the Bermuda Triangle? And at least that could be the reason why the triangle is so deadly.
Yeah, that would make more sense for you.
I don't know. That's just me though. So they fight their way through because they can use the fire underwater. Remember, the flare? Yeah. Anyway.
That's true. Oh, yeah.
And they go to the center of the earth. And the center of the earth is apparently a paradise. It's not rock. It's water and trees. So if you ever want to go to the center of the earth, that's what you'll be finding there. Your geography teachers and geologists lie to you. It's actually water and beautiful.
Yeah, and that one movie, Journey to the Center of the Earth, is a lie, and it ruins the validity of that movie.
And we meet the mom. He sees his mom, who knows immediately that it's him, which fair enough. I got no problem with that. And she says that only the true king can get the trident, and that she's tried to get the trident many times. But when he goes to get the trident, we see that the creature that's guarding it is the Karathan, the legendary mythical creature. Well, explain this to me, okay? This is what I want you to explain to me. All we see is this layer of bones that thousands of soldiers have tried to take this trident, and not one of them has succeeded. How did the mom survive to do this many times?
Yeah, that is the question of the day. I don't know how she was able to do that as well. But she's just the mom. She's got power. She's good. She knows what she's doing.
But also, this kind of goes to my other question. If all of these people knew where the trident was, why did they go on this wild goose chase into the Sahara?
Maybe it was because remember, Atlanta is thousands and thousands of years earlier. That may have been the people that had those bones could have been there for thousands of years, right? And then the people that had the knowledge of where it was could have been killed. Okay, I don't know. I'm just saying. See, the problem with movies is when you have to make so much guessing, like you have to like fill in the blanks yourself. Does that really make it a good movie when you have questions and you have to?
Again, I don't like it. A good movie fills in the plot for me. Again, and I've said this before. If I know I'm nitpicking a lot, but there are so many big holes that you need now to nitpick the little ones. Mm-hmm. Like the big holes, like this big hole, the little holes kind of filter in everywhere else. So he grabs it, and now he has the beautiful 3-layer Poseidon's trident, and he has the armor that we're used to him seeing. It's great. Yeah. And we're getting ready for this final battle. And the Karathan, who he can speak to because he can speak to animals, and that's why the Karathan lets him get the trident to begin with, we see him in battle. And all he looks like is Godzilla. Like from the 1998 Matthew Broderick movie. That's how, I don't know, did you not see that? Like the Godzilla underwater, that's how I felt.
That's kind of felt with the little tentacles and everything.
Yeah, because he had like that face, that same kind of face as him. And he just goes to town. And in the battle, everyone's killing everyone. It's finally Arthur sees Orm. They decide to go to the surface, and we're going to fight on my terms now. They fight for like 35 seconds. The mom comes in and says, you guys need to stop fighting. You're brothers. And the fight stops. Mm-hmm. There was also the one thing that really caught my eye, something that's so DC, because it happened in Man of Steel too. In the middle of this battle, Arthur and Mira have this long, intimate kiss. I think it's like 15 seconds. It's like all you can see all around them is everything's blowing up. And instead of helping, that's a good king move. That's what I want to see from my king. Yeah. In the middle of the final battle, I want to see my king.
Make out. Hey, you know what? Everybody's getting killed and murdered, and there's a war going on. But I really want to kiss you right now. I'm kind of turned on. You think they cut the scene where they cut in behind the rocks and create the firstborn?
Maybe. So that's the movie. Like that's kind of like we were asking some questions through it. Now, I think the pacing was horrible.
Pacing's horrible.
Too fast movie and too long. It's longer than Justice League. How do you have? I don't understand how Justice League, which has all of the heroes, and again doesn't really develop any of them. Now you have another story that's half an hour longer, and I feel that I still don't see any character development.
No, and like the relationship with the characters are didn't feel real to me. Like the way they interacted with anybody, it just felt like someone was just there to stand and just say their lines and then collect the paycheck.
DC and Warner Brothers are still taking the spectacle and just the utterly dominate the picture instead of having some substance. It's all style, no substance. We need human moments. We don't have enough human moments in this. And this is a failure of the DC universe. It's like we need it to be all about the main character. I hate to break this to you, DC, but why you're behind in the MCU or why other franchises and other universe succeed is because the human moments are what people want. Relatability.
They also
like there's
good supporting characters.
Yeah, is there like I don't know the motives of Volku. I don't know the motives of Orm. Like, what's his goal in all of this? Sometimes it's like, I want revenge over because you killed my mother. Or sometimes it's like, I want all the power. Sometimes it's, I want to kill all the humans. What is it, Orem? What do you want? Just tell,
he wants all three.
Does
like a 2-year-old? He can't decide what he wants.
Like, I don't know what his motives are. I'm watching this movie. I'm like, what did you
I blame you for my mother's death.
King Nereus? What's his motives? Like you said, he's like, I know that Orem's up to something. I know that he staged this whole thing. The humans just need to die.
Yeah.
Wait, what? but that goes against what you first said.
The only person that we know has any... The funny thing is, the only person that has real motives is the character that really didn't need to be in the film.
Mantis.
Is Black Manta.
Because Aquaman let his dad die. That's a good revenge plot.
I don't know why, but it sounded so lame when I heard him go, Dad!
Oh my, it's horrible. It's like, but again,
Dad! No, it says that.
Like there's two sides to this. There's like my human side that's like, he deserved to die. He's a pirate. He's a bad person who's killed many people. He killed all the people on the ship.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Like he deserved.
Aquaman made a good point. He's like, you guys killed millions of innocent people.
It's not the point. Hero. He's a hero. He can't. I can think like that because I'm a horrible human being. He is supposed to be a beacon of hope for us, and for me to be like, wait a minute, you're right, Arthur. I'm wrong. You're right. But when you're doing stuff like that, that makes me like, yeah. I can't be the voice of reason. You have to be the voice of reason.
Oh man, that was great. That's just
so again, Black Manta's motives good, but you're like, you're a pirate. It's kind of part of the job security where you might die.
Yeah, you're probably gonna die if you're a pirate.
Again, DC, remember, less is more. Another thing that bothered me, Patrick Wilson played Orem. Patrick Wilson is 45 years old. Now, Aquaman, Arthur Curry, was born in 1985. That makes him 33. Mm-hmm. Orem's supposed to be the younger brother.
He does not look
Jason Momoa is 39. So the older brother is actually 6 years older than the actor who plays his brother. And he looks old. Like, Orem looks old in this movie.
Jason Momoa is 39. I can't believe that.
He looks older, you thought?
I thought he looks younger.
Oh, no, I thought he was older. Well, man, think about Game of Thrones. He was like 8 years ago he started on Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah, true.
Think of it like that. Goodness. So I thought he looked older. So I didn't like him. What else do I want to talk about? The fire we talked about. I don't know.
This movie sucks.
Where do you think this ranks in your DC universe? Like, where would you rank this?
You know what's funny? It'd probably go for me. It goes Wonder Woman, Man of Steel, Aquaman, Justice League, Batman vs Superman.
And where does Suicide Squad fit in this?
Oh yeah, that's part of the universe too. Suicide Squad I'll put in above, right after Aquaman.
You know, I'll give you something funny. Believe this or not, I might rank this number 1.
That's hilarious.
And I'm not saying I think it's number 1 because it's good, because it is not good. It is not even semi good. We'll get to our rating in a sec. I'll spoil my rating for you. It's a 5. I give it a 5 out of 10. It's probably the highest rating I would give a DC movie. I'd probably go that. Then Wonder Woman, which I'd probably give like a 5 as well, but a lower 5. And then I probably would go Justice League, and then maybe Suicide Squad, then Man of Steel, and then I would end with Batman vs Superman as well.
Yeah, Batman vs Superman is just because of the sheer
making Superman the villain?
Disappointment that it was. That's why it gets lower, because it should be better.
One more question. I think this movie made a ton of money in China. This movie's making money overseas. But in North America, it has made less than any other DC Universe movie. Is this the dagger for this franchise, for this universe, to hit the reset button? Or are they going to try to save it?
It's a quick question. I feel like they're not going to do a reset because what they do now is saying that each movie is not going to be like a universe. Now it's going to be its own separate little thing. So that's what they're doing with Joker. That's what they're doing with the new Captain Marvel movie that's coming out. They're all going to be their own separate
Captain
thing.
Marvel?
Not Captain Marvel.
Shazam.
Because it used to be called Captain Marvel, but then Marvel
Yeah.
back.
But let's just because there is a Captain Marvel movie coming out next year too,
Yeah, that's true.
around the same time as Shazam. So
still used to call them Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
So yes, Shazam. My bad, everybody. Yeah. So all movies are all going to be separate. So I think that's their way to solve the holes in the movie.
I still think
But I don't think it's
Flashpoint's going to
gonna
reboot everything.
Was that Flash movie still happen? I forgot.
I don't even know. They keep talk about it.
The director.
They've been talking about this.
Directors.
They've been talking about this movie since I think even before Justice League.
It was supposed to come out before Justice League. It was supposed to come before Aquaman.
And even now, Jason Momoa says Henry Cavill's not done playing Superman, which I don't believe.
No, I don't believe either.
If I'm DC, just hit the reset button. Start fresh, and in your movies, do the right thing. Start small and work your way up. Just because Marvel's ahead doesn't mean you can't catch up. I'm a firm believer that you have your Batman and your Superman are second to none. You can beat anything Marvel has with those two themselves. You have Wonder Woman, which is arguably the greatest. I know you could disagree, but I think if you ask people around the world to name one superhero, I think Batman and Superman are the first two named.
Well, maybe before the MCU came out.
Okay, maybe before, but even still, I think kids they still the symbols of Batman and Superman.
I don't know. I feel like
they're the
this newer generation. Well, we don't.
You're
have
right.
a test about it. This newer generation has been so exposed to.
You're right.
Captain America and Iron Man.
You're right, absolutely. And Spider-Man will always be there as well.
Spider-Man's always number one,
but I still think you can right the ship. There is enough history with those characters that you can right that ship.
Yeah, they can fix it.
And even Wonder Woman. Is there a better female superhero than Wonder Woman?
I don't think so. For Wonder Woman, she is probably the greatest female superhero.
Agreed. So if you're looking at demographics, you have arguably the two most historically recognized superheroes, A-listers. Mm-hmm. You have the number one female in this era of strong female characters. You can right your ship. Just go back to the drawing board and do it right. Use your characters the way they're supposed to be. Superman is a character of light. Batman's a character of dark. They're not all dark. Focus on the characters that need to be light, and the characters that need to be dark. That's what you need to do. All right, we've bashed this movie. I'm giving it a 5. What are you giving it?
This movie is a 3 out of 10.
3. Now, I'm going to ask you, is there, because I gave it a 5, so I think I need to justify some positives. Before we move on to our next movie, what did you like about this movie, if anything? What's the saving grace? Why should our audience go see this movie?
What I liked about the movie, it's a good question. I'm not gonna lie, even though I bashed it, I still felt a little bit entertained. So there's a shred of entertainment in that movie. Jason Momoa is fun to watch as Aquaman, so he was very great. I'm a big fan of Jason Momoa, so he was good to watch in this. It's just a shame that the plot really didn't have anything to work. He didn't really have much to work with.
I'm gonna go with Jason Momoa as well. I think he did a great job carrying this movie. I don't blame the actor for a bad script. I don't, or for how the director chose to go around to work this movie. He was funny. He played his role the way that I would have. I liked. I've never seen Aquaman. He had maybe that's part of it, but I like the way he did it. My favorite scene in that movie is when him and his dad are at a bar, and you see these big, huge bikers come up behind him, and you think they're gonna start crap with him, but instead they're like. You the Aquaman, and these big bikers staying in their authoritarian I'm better than. It's like, can we get a picture? And first he's like, I don't know.
Pulls out a pink cell phone too.
At first he's like, no, and then he's like, okay. And then the first two pictures
don't touch
to Aquaman, so don't touch me. And the third picture he's smiling. The fourth picture they're drinking together. Yeah. It's just a really good scene.
That could have been the movie had potential.
It did.
Even if they had that motive for King Orm, that everyone's polluting the oceans. That could have been very good. Not to attack the world, but say
getting ready to attack the world, getting
yeah.
everyone on the side of it.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, like I think you're in a dangerous territory because if you lived in the ocean, like that is a pretty like we're destroying our oceans. Like not to get too political, but like we are.
Yeah,
like
we are.
It's I think a power hungry motive by Orem would have been just as good. Just like power hungry. I don't know. The other thing I liked about the movie, I did like how he got into his actual traditional suit and got the trident. Yeah. I don't know if I liked the way he did get it. I thought it was a little delayed and a pointless chase, but I did like that as well. So those are the two things I would say that are saving graces. And there's some good, I don't know if I would call it chemistry between Amber Heard and Jason Momoa, but there were some funny interactions.
Some funny moments, but I wouldn't say chemistry.
So 5 for me, 3 for you. Let's move on to movie number 2. What do you want to talk about second?
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, Into the Spider-Verse. Okay.
Before we get into this, just want to say I have a huge bias towards this superhero. Spider-Man is my favorite superhero. Grew up watching him, idolizing him. Everything Spider-Man, that's just amazing. So I have very high standards for these movies. So anything Spider-Man, very high standards. So the two Amazing Spider-Mans, terrible films. Wipe them out from the face of society. And then, okay, carry on.
What did you think? Let's start with that. I'll start. You ask. You have these. You've just told us these high standards. Did this movie meet those high standards?
I loved it. It was amazing. When Miles Morales was first introduced all these years ago, I was very upset. But then I found out that it was in the Ultimate Universe, so I wasn't upset anymore. I was like, oh, it's the Ultimate Universe? Okay. Peter Parker can die in that. I'm fine with that.
And you know, it's funny you said that because I'm again a traditionalist. I don't like too much change especially change for the sake of change. Like, you know what? We want to sell more toys. We want to sell more things. Let's change it up. Mm-hmm. Stories shouldn't change, right? There's a reason why stories live on, right? You don't mess with masterpieces like Hamlet or Romeo and Juliet just to change it because society wants to sell more things. So, an alternate universe helps me relate to this, right? And I love that. And I love the different universe, the explanation of it, how Kingpin's trying to get his family back. Yeah. And like, you know, I love all of the different kind of characters in this movie and the different characters from the different universes.
How'd you feel about the I know this isn't something you really look at, but how'd you feel about the animation for the film?
I didn't love the animation. In fact, that's why it's not going to get as high of a rating on my account, but I don't even know how to describe it. It's kind of
comic booky, but it's like computer generated meets comic book, and it just intertwines.
I don't know if it just didn't stick out to me. There's some times where the color scheme was off for me. I didn't love it.
I'm on the same boat. Like there's certain scenes where it looks amazing, and there's certain scenes where I'm like, what the heck's going on? Like when the Kingpin activates the machine and starts multiplying, like forming the universes are starting to crash into each other. I didn't like how it looked that way. I was like, it looked terrible.
The final battle sequence I didn't love. Yeah. I mean, I didn't dislike it. Like I'm not by me saying this. I'm not trying to crap on it too much, but I didn't love it. I thought it didn't make like visual sense.
Yeah, it looked a little bit all over the place. And
as you know, I am not a comic book fan, and that's part of the reason I didn't like it. Like I'm not a big fan of comics. I'm a cinephile, not really a comic book guy.
Because he's an idiot. That's why he doesn't like comics.
Hey, no reason to throw words like that out there.
Listen, kids, it's okay. If someone disagrees with you, you can call them names to get it right. Don't do that. Don't listen to me. I don't have the best advice.
So, I want to talk about Miles for a second because I think in my opinion, the biggest strength of this movie is the character development of a lot of the characters.
Yeah.
And Miles being one of the big characters. Mm-hmm. I thought they did a great job with his character. How he's this smart kid. He's very nervous. He's artsy. He's kind of unsure of himself.
Yeah. He doesn't feel... he also feels like we find out that he's going to a school. So in his home school, he's very well liked. He has, but now he's out of his element. So he
doesn't like change.
Yeah, he doesn't like change. He doesn't want to.
And we see on a test, he gets 0 out of 100 on a true and false test, and the teacher calls him out on it. He's like, you know that statistically, if you put a blind person, they'd be right 50% of the time. In order to get them all wrong, that means you had to know all of the answers and change the 0 to 100 backwards to 100 out of 100.
Yeah.
It's good. Like, I liked it. I like the fact that, you know, that he has this uncle, like his dad is a cop. Part of my favorite scene of the movie is when his dad drops him off at the school. It's right from the preview after I watched it after. And he's like, I said I love you, say it back, kind of thing. I'm not leaving. Making him say it. Like, so you have this dad that's very active. The dad hates Spider-Man, right? Like a cop you could understand, right?
Yeah, because he's a vigilante. He's making the job harder.
And we have in our society today very anti-view of cops, right? To begin with. And you have this vigilante who actually is breaking the law. Mm-hmm. And is this hero. I can see why a cop wouldn't like him. So you have the father that doesn't like the cop.
And let's keep in mind that his relationship with his father isn't that strong as well. They butt heads. He finds he relates way more to his uncle, who is shady. We don't know how shady until the movie goes on, but he seemed a bit shady. Like just living at his house, he's just taking calls. Like, okay, I gotta go, Miles. You know, stuff like that.
So his uncle takes him into the subway where he helps him make this work of art.
Yeah, help him express
graffiti.
Himself.
Sorry, this graffiti.
The way I find when Miles doesn't feel like he belongs, he expresses himself through his art.
Yeah, absolutely. And he gets bit by this spider. Okay. And it's funny because he's like, just throws it off him.
Yeah.
And he wakes up the next day, and he's taller, he's sweating more, he's got, like, these new problems. The new girl in school, he touches her hair, she has to get her hair cut. Oh, it's funny. It's good. It's cute.
It was great. So this whole movie is about him coming into being Spider-Man. So we get about, how many origin stories? I think we get about, like, 7 origin stories.
8
origin stories.
7 Spider-Mans and Miles Morales.
Okay, perfect. So the movie starts off with the original Spider. Well, not the original Spider-Man.
The one in this universe. The Spider-Man in Miles' universe.
Yeah. So he's loving life. He's killing the game. He's doing everything he needs to do.
And he loves being Spider-Man. Like, we're going to find that not all of them feel that same thing. Yeah. But this one loves it. He's married to Mary Jane. Everything's good.
He's living a dream. Everybody loves him.
Yeah. There's no J. Jonah Jameson to Daily Bugle to knock him down. It's good. Things are good.
The people are behind him. It's just great. Everything's going great for this guy.
And as Miles is having this nervous breakdown, he kind of gets into Kingpin's lair by accident, and Spider-Man's fighting the Green Goblin, who's this huge goblin-y figure.
This massive figure.
And they're turning on this device to cross the universes. Mm-hmm. And in order for Spider-Man to save the world, he gets thrown into the rays.
The ray thing.
Basically, it sends all of these Spider-Mans into the universe as the machine breaks.
Yeah, and on top of that, the Spider-Man that really mangles him a bit. His body gets mangled.
Yeah.
He's rough and tough, and he's fighting how many villains at once?
4. Scorpion, the Uncle.
Yeah.
I don't know the number.
Prowler.
Goblin, and Kingpin.
Yeah, so he's fighting 4 at once, so... very big deals, but my Spider-Man's better because he can fight the Sinister Six by himself. So.
Exactly.
So 4, come on, buddy. What's going on here?
So he ends up dying.
Yeah.
And the entire world, all of New York, kind of mourns. They put on the Spidey outfit, and Miles goes to his grave because he can't figure it out.
Yeah. And can I just say, like, actually, I'll wait till the end of the movie.
Okay. So Miles figures it. As he's at this grave, another Peter Parker comes up, but an older Peter Parker with a gut. And we find out his origin story is a little bit different. He's been doing it for 22 years.
Yes, he's been doing it for 22 years. he loved it at first, but then it started getting old. He started getting problems. His
Aunt
wife
May dies.
Yeah.
He divorces Mary Jane.
Because he wanted kids. He didn't want to put his kids into that.
Which, again, great development of character because now he takes on the father role to Miles, which is perfect.
Brilliant, right?
And
this is Sony. This isn't Marvel's MCU. This is Sony right now.
I know. And you know what? If you take 3 shots, you're due to get 1 right?
That's true.
And they probably asked Disney for a lot of help.
Yeah,
Hey, Kevin, can you help us out with this?
Apparently, the lady in the movies for Sony, that's in head of Sony, she's very close with Kevin Feige. So they...
yeah, there you go. See? That's what you do. They talk, but now they have a good relationship.
Yeah.
We'll help you as long as you keep letting us have Peter Parker in our movies.
Plus, apparently Spider-Man stayed in the MCU, so...
I'm happy. Very happy. Yes. So, but now he's Spider-Man. He's been doing it for 22 years. He's just doing it to stay through the motions, right? Like he's just doing it. It's kind of like a job. It wasn't like it's not a passion anymore. He doesn't care. He just does it to do it.
Yeah, and he can tell
he's still good though.
Yeah, he's still good. You can tell he's still really good at his job. Is he can predict what all the villains can do. Like the older Spider-Man, although he did it, but he could not predict as well as this Spider-Man can. So he would be a better mentor. And
again, he's more seasoned, right? He's lost the passion for it. Whereas the Spider-Man who died in the Miles universe 1 we'll call it, doesn't have that. So
it's technically called the Ultimate Universe.
Ultimate Universe, sorry. But there's got to be numbers to it.
That's what happens when you hate comic books. You don't know anything.
Ouch, shots fired.
All right. The next scene. What scene we're gonna go into?
So the relationship he has with Miles, they go to get burgers together, and he's basically like, Miles like, I want to come with you. Like, this is what I want.
Yeah.
At first he's like, no, I'm a lone wolf.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for 22 years.
Said he'd do it.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not the old Spider-Man. I've been doing this for 22 years. I don't take on anybody. Mm-hmm. So he walks away, and then Miles just kind of goes up into a ball and guilts him. He's like, I'm trying to guilt you. Is it working? He's like, no, it's not working. All right, come with me.
So they go into the... they take the time to go into this facility. So I'll keep in mind, before he met this Spider-Man, he accidentally... Spider-Man gives him a chip and says, listen, you got to shut down this machine. He tries to test out Spider-Man, and a really great scene happens where he tries to go from this one tall building. And he's like, nope, goes back down and goes to a smaller one.
That's so good. Just humor with a story. See, DC, that's what you do. You have humor in your movie, but you have a story to go with it.
To try and develop the character as well, right? So he uses it, and he breaks the thing trying to practice to be Spider-Man, right?
So they have to go. They have to go do what the Ultimate Universe Spider-Man did, and go to the corporation.
I want to say the
headquarters.
Oscorp facility. But
yeah,
I don't
whatever
know why
it's called.
They just called it Oscorp.
But
it's okay.
It's the Ultimate Universe. It isn't the universe we.
There's an Oscorp in Ultimate Universe. In Ultimate Universe, Oscorp creates all the bad guys. See? Read comics.
Maybe I should. But anyways, so they break in. It's hilarious. The Peter Parker Spider-Man, the old one, he gets caught, kind of, basically because of Miles, though, because Miles makes noise, and he's gonna put on the charm and to charm this female scientist. So the female scientist like, Peter Parker, you're still alive. You're from an alternate universe. He sits him down, ties him to this chair, and then she basically says, I'm gonna enjoy watching you die,
disintegrate into nothingness,
because he's in the wrong universe.
And guess who it is?
It's
Doc Ock.
But it's
a female Doc Ock.
It's a female version. Is it like a daughter? Like, I don't read the comics.
That character was just created for the movie.
Oh, for the movie, okay.
So that was differently, which is a different universe, so no big deal.
So Miles can turn invisible, so he's invisible in this, and Peter's like, leave, I got this, don't worry. And he's getting like beat up, and it's funny. I'm good. I thought they did a good job with the humor of Spider-Man, the way he talks and the sarcasm and
the whips and everything. But for a long time ago, Spider-Man used to be the king of having whips and.
Well, he still does with Tom Holland.
Yeah, with Tom Holland, but Deadpool stole that title from Spider-Man.
Yes.
and I wish Spider-Man took it back, but
He can't, not because of swearing. He can't do it.
yeah, that's
Spider-Man's too wholesome.
No, you can still do it without the swearing. I like Spider-Man's more because it's more wholesome and family friendly.
It's true, it is. So we meet Gwen Stacy, the from another universe. She's the Spider-Woman, and we get her origin story, which again, fantastic because it's. So for Peter Parker, the origin story begins with with Uncle Ben dying. For Gwen Stacy, the origin story begins with Peter Parker dying.
Because he was the Lizard, and I like you'll see how each character develops. So with Peter Parker, it's with he doesn't want to have any children, anything like that. He's given up on the game. He's kind of given up on himself a little bit, right? Miles Morales doesn't believe in himself enough. He doesn't really think he has that ability. Gwen Stacy's issue is she doesn't know how to have friendship anymore because her best friend passed away because of her.
And she's been doing it for what? She's 2 years in, right?
Yeah.
So the Spider-Man in the Ultimate Universe, 10 years. Older Spider-Man is 22, and now you have Gwen Stacy's 2 years. So they all have a different perspective, right? Different. Like no one questions that the older Spider-Man's the leader of the team because he's got the most.
He's the most seasoned.
Exactly. So the three of them, they go to Aunt May's house, who old Peter Parker is like just Aunt May, because died, right?
He passed away, so you never seen
And
it.
I love it. She knew about Spider-Man the entire time. She helps out all the Spideys throughout their entire process. And then we meet the other three Spider-Mans. The noir Spider-Man, who's from the 30s, who kills Nazis, which I love. We meet the Spider Ham, who's like got wet hands. He's like the most cartoonish of them all. And then Penny Parker, who has like a machine from like 2399 or like something like the 24th century.
Yeah.
And like all three of them, again, they're telling their origin stories at the same time to save time, and it's well done.
Yeah. These ones, they're not really the main character, so their development isn't as needed. I would say
have their own, but they all have their own things, right?
Yeah.
For noir Spider-Man, it's seeing color, so you get the Rubik's cube. For Penny, it's about like a relationship with her father, and Spider-Ham. I never really kind of.
He's just a cartoon.
That was just it. So it just like all of them work together to kind of foil Kingpin, who again love this little plot point of they have this like memorial to Spider-Man. It's Kingpin giving this speech.
Yeah, the memorial.
So
right?
good. Again,
so
the
no one
irony.
knows that he's still bad, right? He's the one that killed Spider-Man, and he's shown.
And I love how, like, in the Spider-Man universe, like, in the Ultimate Universe, like, Spider-Man is loved. Like, he's got a comic book collection, a TV show, which is the actual, like, the 60s TV show, a cereal brand, cartoons based off him, popsicles. It's
the whole shebang.
It's good. I liked it. And then the final sequence we kind of touched upon. I think that's what I liked least. So the Kingpin turns back on this universe machine,
wife and kid,
and all the Spider-Mans to get in this fight. It's okay. I don't think there's anything to write home about. It's not bad, but it's just not.
And then we should talk about like what happened, like the development of Miles a little bit, right? So there's a very good scene. I like the scene where Miles wants to go, and they're like, "Yeah, we can't take him because he doesn't know how to use his powers, right? He's not trained enough." So Miles gets left behind, and it's very sad.
I think we got to get his origin story first.
Yeah.
So in Aunt May's house, he basically doesn't know that he's being followed, and Kingpin and all of his Goonies kind of join together, and they have this big fight sequence in which Miles, who now knows his uncle is
the Prowler.
The Prowler is like on the roof of Aunt May's house and about to be thrown to his death, and he takes off his mask and be like, "I know you are.
It's me, Uncle.
It's me. Don't do it, Uncle." And the uncle's like, "Okay, I'm not gonna kill my nephew," and Kingpin shoots him. That's his Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
Uncle Aaron in this case.
Uncle Aaron.
Aaron, right? And then that's kind of his origin story. So he kind of loses it, and then, as Xavier said, he's now not welcome, and the Peter Parker, the leader, kind of uses web. He gives them the opportunity first. You can come. You just gotta use one of your powers.
Invisible on a man,
or use your electricity,
or your shock. Right? Wasn't able to do it, so he's like, "You have to. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to leave without you." And then that's when his father comes and tries to talk to him about his issue, which is another touching scene. That whole scene was just so great.
Good. And the dad's like, "You don't have to say I love you back." I'm like, "I love you, Dad."
Yeah, you know. I was like, wow, this is just such a
like one of those movie moments when like you're talking. It's like
Yeah.
they all call. It's like you remember? Have you ever seen Big Daddy?
yeah.
Where like Adam Sandler's talking to his dad, and everyone else in the courtroom calls their dad, "I love you, Dad." Feel like it's like Miles say it back, but he can't
because he's
because
has
the spider web.
right? And he's like, "It's okay, Miles. I know you're here, and we haven't talked to you." And then he tells, and the reason why being is because he just saw his uncle pass away. So who do you talk to? You talk to your son, right? Because at the end of the day, that's his brother that passed away.
I know.
And he was a villain, so he's upset. He's upset with that Spider-Man. But then you see that
And he thinks Spider-Man killed him too.
Yeah, right.
Because he sees Spider-Man over it, and the Spider-Man that killed him is Miles Spider-Man. Like,
Yeah.
Because he's over his body.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously it's a traumatic experience for Miles because one he just figured out that the guy he looked up to was the Prowler, and then second he didn't even get a chance to have an explanation. He passed away before he even could explain himself or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's what a great scene. And
It
then
was.
you find after that talk, Miles finds the power. It's like the talk that his dad was the true inspiration all along because his dad was able to inspire him to become the true Spider-Man. It's his great movie.
It's his great with great power comes great responsibility moment.
Yeah, right.
Oh wait, and then he puts it all together. He breaks out of the chair, and now he goes back to Aunt May's. He uses his artsy talent to turn the Spider-Man suit into the black Spider-Man suit that he's wearing.
The black and red. This classic
Which
suit.
is great. It's a great suit.
Yeah.
I'm not normally a fan of the black suit because I always think of like the Venom, but the red that goes with it, it's good.
Immerse you.
I like the spider symbol that he has too on it. I think that's a very, very well done.
Yeah, and it matches him more because it looks more smaller. You can see like it's a smaller Spider-Man, more slender and everything like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So they go in, they have the fight sequence, everyone goes back home. We see that in the end, in his little, that they all kind of overcome their problems. The old Peter Parker goes back to Mary Jane with a group of flowers, saying that he's ready for children.
Yeah.
Because it's like, wait, do I want children? In that final sequence, Gwen starts making friends, and the Noir Spider-Man has his cute Rubik's Cube.
Spider-Ham has his hammer again somehow. And Penny, does she get the new robot? Have you seen?
She gets it. I think she does, or something along those lines. But what was I gonna say? So overall, I thought that was pretty good. Which character did you like the best? Obviously, throw Miles out because I think
Miles
we both
out?
agree that Miles is good.
Okay, then who do you think I'd like the best? If
I like the old Peter. I thought just because of the story arc. I don't want kids, and he had to be the father figure, realize that he wanted kids. My favorite movie is Jurassic Park. It's the Alan Grant role. That's exactly what it is, right? Don't want kids, gonna break up with my girlfriend, and then I meet Lex and Tim, and I'm like, oh, I'm ready to be a dad.
Right? Yeah.
And then
same here.
For
Peter
Jurassic
Parker
Park 3,
is
they
my
break
favorite.
up, which is why it's one of the worst movies ever. So that's why I would go with the old Peter Parker.
I'm always old Peter Parker. If I can't pick Miles Morales, it's gonna be Peter. Like for me, I love Peter Parker and I love Miles Morales, the character as well. Like he's up there. And it's funny saying that because I don't like change and I love Spider-Man. So when I heard Peter Parker died and Miles Morales was going to take over, I hated that. Yep. I was like, what's going on? But then I read, I'm like, this guy is actually, I like this character a lot. So now I have to sometimes be an open book and accept it.
So what would you give this out of 10?
8 out of 10. 8 Spider-Men punching Kingpin in the face out of 10.
I'm gonna go a little bit lower. I'm gonna go 7.5, and the last fight sequence is one of the reasons. I didn't necessarily like one other thing that we didn't really talk about is like because they're out of the universe, they have problems with I don't know how would you describe it, like they shake, they glitch, and I feel like they didn't explain that well. Like when they wanted to glitch, they glitched, and when they didn't glitch. Yeah. Like it was like when they needed to be when they needed to be they're important, they glitched. When other things were going on, they glitched. It's just like
I think it was more like they glitched because they didn't belong there.
Yeah, but the moments when they glitched, right? Yeah. Like Gwen Stacy never glitched in school, right? Yeah. They didn't glitch when they were all having just regular discussions. They only glitched either when they were talking about glitching or during fight sequences.
Yeah.
It's like the only time. So that's something I didn't love about it. I wish they had written that a little bit better. And one other thing I didn't particularly love is the ending, like the Spider-Man, like Miles hugging his dad as Spider-Man.
Yeah,
I didn't love
that.
that.
Make it way too obvious that it was Spider-Man. Like that's
like I don't care. You could tell your dad you're Spider-Man. I would have I would almost liked it better if they had like that. That was the way. But like he hangs up on the sun, and then Spider-Man just like you're supposed to. This is your moment to tell your dad you love him, and then you just hang up on him.
Yeah.
And then you go down. It would have been better if it was more concrete.
Yeah, it was a little bit rushed at the end.
But again, no criticism. 7.5 still really good.
Yeah, like I said, I really liked the. So we would watch Aquaman where the relationships didn't seem real. It's funny that we watched a cartoon and the relationships seemed way more real than the actual real life. Like the relationship between his father, like the fact when after he sees Spider-Man dies, traumatic experience obviously for a kid. He just goes and just hugs his dad because he doesn't know what else to do. He's like, "Can I just sleep here?" Yeah. Just every single moment was just so touching in that movie. That's what I really
DC should send their like representatives to go watch these movies and take notes.
Yeah. What makes these movies successful?
Yeah, exactly. All right. Takes us to our last movie of the day, Bumblebee. All right. We got to start with a simple question because we have a very big disagreement on this. Prequel or remake?
Yeah, we should have people vote and say in the comments what they believe it is. Prequel, remake, or both.
Everything I've read suggests it's a prequel. Everything about any review I've read, any article I've read, it all says prequel. So I am taking this review as a prequel. So if you have a problem with that and you think it's a remake, like Xavier probably will, that's fine. But everything I'm about to say is prequel. And I'll criticize it based on the movie itself, but I'm going on the idea that this is a prequel to it. And I will tell you why. They followed the story. They removed Bumblebee's voice box. They ended him up with the Camaro. They brought up Agent Simmons from the first movie. The stage is set at the end of this movie to set up into Transformers. And as we talked about, 2 weeks ago when we absolutely destroyed the first 3 Transformer movies, and if we talked about 4 and 5, this would count as well. They have never cared about continuity, so why would they start now?
Fair enough. It's very fair. I think it's a little bit of a reboot because we haven't heard directly from the director, which we'll probably hear very soon because everyone's been asking that questions, which we'll have confirmed. So this is a to be continued.
Would you say a little bit of both?
I'd say a little bit of both.
You can't have a prequel and a remake. It doesn't work. It's either a prequel or it's a remake. You can't call it something like a soft remake or kind of a remake. No, either you're choosing to remake. You can't be like, I'm going to make this movie and we're going to see how it does. And if it does well, we're going to remake the entire franchise. But if it doesn't do good, it's just a bad prequel. You can't do that. That's just poor.
What? Okay, fair enough. What I would say, though, is you can kind of do it. I mean, wasn't Days of Future Past kind of like a soft reboot for the
You're talking to someone who would put that in the unwatchable category. I give that movie, I think, a 2.5 out of 10. So if we're going by Days of Future's Past, where again, and I don't think it's Days of Future's Past. I think it's the First Class. I think you're talking about.
Well, First Class wasn't really the reboot. It was just
a soft
kind of. Well, it was supposed to be a prequel.
I know, and it was horrible.
And then the sequel was fully rebooted. So maybe they're gonna go that route.
They keep getting worse. Let's not talk about the X-Men, okay? Again, take notes from Marvel people, and now Sony, who finally have seemed to get it right by putting someone in charge who knows Kevin. All right, but so I'm going on the idea that this is a prequel, and you're going with remake.
I'll do reboot. I'm going reboot.
Okay, you're going reboot. I'm sorry. And the audience, feel free to leave comments and talk about which side do you agree upon. Is it if you've seen it, do you think it's a prequel or do you think it's a remake? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I am. I think that I've seen enough information. I think people that are going to call it, if they're going to call it a remake or a reboot, it's because they. I don't know. I just
want this franchise to be good. Okay,
it's not
all I want.
And I will say this. I will flat out say that even if we're going reboot, it's still a horrible movie.
Yeah, he still doesn't like it either way, so it doesn't matter to him.
All right, so I want to start with
my score. If I find out it's a prequel, it'll go a lot lower. if it's not. But right now, based on reboot,
Hopefully, our discussion here can change things up a little bit. So, let's start with the beginning because I think we can have a little bit of agreement here. I like the beginning. I like the first 3 minutes.
Woo! Just make the whole movie.
The Transformers never have looked better. They went Gen 1.
Yeah.
They look like they're supposed to look. And it was good to see Cybertron. And it was good to see the war in a more productive manner. Mm-hmm. Do you want anything to say before I put my big butt in here?
No, you can say your butt.
But why do the Transformers transform into automobiles? I don't understand this concept. Why are they using... They're not on Earth. Why are they using Earth... Like, they're supposed to be ahead of Earth.
Vehicles. Yeah, that's the one of the... That's one of the issues I have. But they did have ships and everything. But it'd make more sense if they...
But they used, like, human ships.
Yeah, it was...
Why can't they have... Like, at least I will give Michael Bay credit in this podcast because I actually think he might have been saving Transformers based on what I saw in this movie. But, like, at least when he made Megatron transform in the first movie, he transformed into some Cybertron ship. Didn't look like an Earth ship. At least he did, like... Oh, Megatron doesn't know about Earth, so clearly he has to transform into something he transformed into Cybertron. Mm-hmm. How do they know about these Earth ships, these Earth vehicles?
I didn't think the Transformers could transform when they were in Cybertron. I thought they'd only transform when they went to Earth because they have to be in the skies, right? Yeah. So it was weird that, like, you see Bumblebee come in and he's like some weird car thing and he does a little side swipe and then transforms back and just starts going ham.
I don't know. The second thing, a question I have from the beginning, is how does Optimus know about Earth? I found this planet for you, Bumblebee. It's called Earth. Go there. We're going to set up our base of operations. How do you know this? Where did this come from?
It's a quick question. That one I think you're nitpicking a bit there with that one.
I think it's a very fair question. Like, at least in the first movie, they don't know about Earth until they read about they're looking for Megatron, they're looking for the Allspark, and they have evidence of it. But all right, if this is the last battle for Cybertron, right? This is the Optimus. They say this is the last battle. We're gonna lose. Why are all the Autobots already gone? They're already scattered throughout the universe. Why are there only 6 Autobots fighting in the last battle for the war for Cybertron? If it's a war for Cybertron, why is the battle going all over across the universe? Should the battle be for Cybertron? And why do the Decepticons want to kill Autobots if they're leaving Cybertron? Is that exactly what they want now? Cybertron all to themselves.
Because they're always going to come back. Remember the whole goal, they want to come back and take Cybertron back, right? Wow. That's their...
I think you're trying to find an answer. I don't think you have. That's a good answer to my question, though.
Well, think
logically,
about it, right?
It makes no sense.
What's the
Decepticons' goal?
To rule Cybertron.
Okay, so the Autobots
have to rule everybody. To be honest.
Okay, but if the Autobots just leave Cybertron and go live on another planet, why can't they just do that?
Because what's it called? Decepticons are going to go attack another planet anyways. And
why? You just told me the goal of the Decepticons is to take Cybertron. Is to live on Cybertron.
To take Cybertron over, but then they're going to have bigger goals.
Like what?
Take over the universe.
Why? That's their goal, to take over the universe.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. If that's their goal, that's a different story then. All right. I didn't think that was their goal. I've never actually heard in any Transformer movie, in any Transformer TV show, that was their goal. I always thought their goal initially was to take Cybertron over, and then when Cybertron was destroyed, they wanted to take over Earth and make it their new Cybertron. I never thought that they wanted the universal domination. But
after that's the next step, right? That's going to be the next step. Once they take Cybertron, do you think they're going to be like, oh, let's just stay and be content with just having Cybertron? You know what? Let's just take over everything else after that. Okay. Especially with Megatron. You know Megatron's character. Do you think he's like, oh, yeah, we have Cybertron. Okay, this is enough for me. I'm content.
I don't know. I don't understand. I don't. Again, we talked when we were watching when we did our podcast on Transformers. We kept talking about what are the motives of everyone. Yeah. I don't know the motives of Megatron because it's never been written in.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Like you give me motives. I can give you if that's the thing. I can have a different aspect. If this isn't about Cybertron, if this is about the world, then I'm with you. Mm-hmm. But I don't get it. To me, the way they made this movie seem is they were fighting for Cybertron. We can now make innuendos, but that wasn't what we were fed in the movie.
No, it wasn't.
So Bumblebee arrives to Earth, and he happens to crash land in a sector training drill. Now, we don't know that it's Sector 7 right away, but they're in the middle of a Sector 7 training drill. So, a couple questions for you. Are the humans supposed to be surprised to see that there's these machines? Is that because what did you think when you saw it? Were they surprised?
Well, at the time, until you told me that, I didn't even realize that they were Sector 7. I thought they were just some random military guys. So I was like, okay, that makes sense that they're shocked. But the fact that they were Sector 7 means, well, it's maybe they were doing something beforehand before they were Sector 7. Maybe they just dealt with aliens. But who knows? If you're going based on your prequel thing, then they should know what this is and what the Transformers are.
And even if
they met Megatron.
But isn't that the whole? Again, this is why to me it's got to be a prequel, because what does Sector 7 do if they don't monitor Megatron and the Allspark? What's their point? What's their purpose?
I don't know.
Again,
watch
this
aliens.
Is pardon.
Look up for aliens.
Then they shouldn't be surprised. And even their training they were training like SEALs would train. Mm-hmm. Like what was they're not even doing things that you would. It makes no sense. Come on, admit that it makes no sense.
Yeah, I did say it made no sense.
My second question: does Burns, so John Cena's character Burns, he's kind of like the general the officer that we're going to follow mostly in this movie. So does Jack Burns? So does Jack Burns not realize that Bumblebee killed the plane that was Blitzwing that was trying to kill them? Because initially, so they just to kind of give you an idea. So when Bumblebee crash lands, the entire Sector 7 go after Bumblebee. They narrow him down into this passage, and he's like, "I come in peace," kind of. Mm-hmm. Because he can talk at this point. Don't worry, I'm here. I'm not here. And then there's a plane coming, and Bumblebee's, that's not a plane. You guys need to run. Yeah. And then there's this great fight sequence between Bumblebee and Blitzwing. Yeah. But what Blitzwing does is he shoots missiles and kills everyone except for John Cena. Everyone except for Jack Burns.
John Cena.
Yeah, he's got a big scar on his face. But now, so my question is, does the Cena's character, does he not realize that Bumblebee killed this airplane?
He might realize because he's very skeptical of all the...
But I'm forget even about that line later on. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't all of the parts from the airplane be scattered across the place? Yeah. So if it wasn't for this Bumblebee character, this yellow guy that he would have seen, how did this airplane get destroyed?
I don't know. Who knows? There's a lot of dumb characters in that
which
movie.
is why it's not good. When you have dumb characters, the movie can't be good. So if he does realize that Bumblebee killed them, why is he so ready to be like, all right, let's work with these Decepticons? I know he doesn't work with any of them. I know he kind of says they have Decept right in their name. Like he says that. Like I don't know.
He was never ready to work with them though. He was very against. He was very adamant not to work with them.
Exactly, but wouldn't he see that Bumblebee try to save him? Well, that's why I said, doesn't he realize it?
The fact that he never said that's a better question to ask, I would say. Because he never mentions it in the briefings or anything like that.
But B kills Blitzwing. Mm-hmm. Not before losing his voice. His voice cords are ripped out of him. And his memory cord is damaged. But the last decision he makes is to turn into a Volkswagen. And then we meet Charlie. Pure teenager. Pardon?
Oh, Charlie Watson.
Charlie Watson. Pure teenager. Attitude. Resents her mother. Resents her stepdad. She's sad that her Her dad died from
No
a
one
heart
understands
attack.
her.
No one understands. She's a loner. She has no friends. She used to be an athlete.
Bikes.
She's a grease monkey. She's trying to rebuild her dad's Corvette. These are all things that we see about her. Her uncle runs a scrapyard, and she finds a bumblebee. Or, sorry, a bug. A Volkswagen bug. And she fixes it. Which I want to talk about. Like, do you think that makes sense? She can't fix her Corvette, but she can fix an alien being? This is nitpicking, but I'm just curious.
It makes a little. Honestly, I feel like we don't know what his self repairs are like and everything like that. So I could.
That's true too. You could be doing some self repairs. I'll give you that.
So because like if you go like that, like how was he able to like not have any damage after that fight, right? So
yeah.
So I feel like he has self repairs.
That makes sense. I'll accept that. I'll go with that.
Well, that's not a big save because it's only a little. It's only a little nitpicking, but whatever.
It is. I admit that's a nitpick. So anyway, so she fixes him. Uncle lets Charlie take him home, and as soon as he goes home, the arm I guess falls off, and she realizes that this is a transformer.
He transforms.
Yes, and then she's like, I'm gonna name you Bumblebee. Tell me. No, he says you sound like a bumblebee. That's what she said.
But he also had a bee. I don't know why they mentioned that he had a bee comb.
They had a bee. They didn't mention it. They put a bee comb in him to be cute.
Oh, I thought there was an actual bee comb.
It is. They did. The writer put that in there clearly
for
the. Oh, look, his name is Bumblebee. Why don't we put some bumblebees in him?
Yeah, I don't know why they just.
Because a bumblebee's nest would never be in a car. And bumblebee's nest would be near trees.
Yeah.
But that's besides the point. She names him Bumblebee because she sounds like. Excuse me. Because he sounds like a bumblebee.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, his name was B-137.
But she didn't know that. That's why it's stupid.
B-137.
So stupid. Okay. So anyway, she names him Bumblebee, and now we get into like 80% of the movie. The boring part of the movie. Because B has no memory. The whole movie, there's horrible dialogue between Charlie trying to hide the car. That's what the movie is about. 80% of this movie is Charlie trying to hide the car from everybody. B has no memory of anything. Charlie has to train Bumblebee how to hide from other people. They go to the beach.
It's robots in disguise.
Yes, okay. But they go to the beach and says, "What if someone comes? What are you gonna do, B? What are you gonna do?" And he digs a little sand trap and hides behind the sand trap. Not as a car, as the Bumblebee. Are you kidding me? This movie is not about a girl and her car. It's about a girl and her dog, because that's how Bumblebee is portrayed in this movie, as a dog. The commands she gives, the way she talks to them, it's a human training their dog. Hiding in a corner, scared little puppy. He can't speak, just like a dog. He's being trained just like a dog. Does stupid things like destroys a house just like a dog would do. No?
The funny thing is, I was thinking that while you were explaining it, and I'm like, yeah, it does seem like a dog.
It is. That's exactly what it is. It's almost like I'll use an 80s movie. It's almost like E.T. I feel like it's exactly what it is. Charlie is Elliot and Bumblebee is E.T. Hiding them from their parents, blaming them for all their problems. It is not hiding from the government. Everything. An extraterrestrial coming in. It's like E.T.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
Fair enough.
It's horrible. No, you think that's good? That portrait. This is a big chunk. This is a huge chunk of the movie.
What's it called? For them to be. They do look like a dog, but I can see why it would be like a dog, because he has no memory. He's not a proud transformer. He's
a dog.
He's like a baby that doesn't know what the heck's going on. He's like, what's going? As soon as he transforms, he's all. I thought, I'm like, why the heck is he all scared? He was just in a war. He just murdered somebody. Why is he like hiding like a kid? I'm like, oh, because he lost his memory. But you don't like the fact that he lost his memory. So
well, I'll get into that later on. The reason I'll get into why I don't like it later on.
When he gets...
Yeah. Well, let's talk about it later. So anyway, the Decepticons...
The reason why I bought that whole aspect from the movie of him acting like the dog is because he had no memory.
But still not good. You're telling me, okay, let's put this in more perspectives, okay? Let's take it like an amnesia patient. You, excuse me, you might, if you have someone who has amnesia, they might not remember their name, who they are, things like that, but they remember how to do their basic aspects of life. They just don't know who they are. They don't go back to being a toddler.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say he still knew how to treat this, still knew how to transform that, but he didn't know to...
He didn't know how social norms.
Yeah, but he doesn't know he has to hide. He doesn't know what planet he's on.
But
That's the
but anyone with amnesia wouldn't know that they're what planet they're on. They don't go. They don't. Bumblebee's. What happened when Bumblebee lost his memory is he went back to when he would have been like a toddler, a dog, right? Like a dog is a kid who doesn't grow up, who needs constant attention, who needs to be babied, who's not responsible. You telling me someone with amnesia would have that same problem?
I wouldn't say, because you got to keep in mind he also is a robot, so he's not a human as well.
He doesn't
and on top of that,
you're right. He should be smarter because he's an advanced race. We shouldn't be able to hold him to that.
I like to add he's also in the area that he doesn't know. Okay, he's a robot.
Everyone would be in that area.
Yeah, but look, what's it called? When the human has amnesia, you're gonna see another human. If you have amnesia in a different planet, how are you gonna see?
How you don't know it's a different planet. Oh.
So you wake up and you see, like, oh, I'm a robot. Oh, what's that?
You wouldn't know
that person's not a robot. Well, that's a weird, like, come on. I feel like it's a little bit, the movie's a little bit, I know it's a bad movie, but you kind of, you don't like.
No, I'm sorry. This is not a nitpick. This is a major story. This is the majority of the movie.
I wouldn't say it's a nitpick, but you just don't buy the, whole memory loss.
I'll tell it, but as we continue,
we'll get into
we'll readdress this because we're gonna move on. So the Decepticons. So Shatter and Dropkick come to Earth looking for B167.
137.
137, something like that.
100% about it.
So they're supposed to be robots in disguise. So they come into this planet. They're in these two cars, and then right in front of a man and a woman, they transform. What's the point of robots in disguise if you're just going to transform in front of humans?
I feel like I know a lot of times, sometimes the Decepticons don't want to hide, but they didn't seem to care. I think they're just to show this is more a style over plot.
Yeah, absolutely. So they run into the S7 people who are like, stop them on a highway. They transform, fine, that's fine. And then S7 just believes them.
They were, so.
S7 believes them. Dr. Powell's like, oh, don't you worry. These aliens, I'm so excited to meet you. They're aliens. Oh my God, they're going to be so cool. Can I keep them?
Yeah. And the fact that
so they tell the government, hey, listen, Bumblebee is a traitor. He needs to be captured. If you give us Bumblebee, we'll leave. Okay, fine. We have this general comment by Jack Burns who says, their names are Decepticons. Don't you think they're trying to deceive us? Oh, brilliant. But we're going to help them anyway. And what they need access to their satellites. Mm-hmm. So they spend, 2 days looking through these satellites to figure out what's going on? Now, if we go back to the 2007 version, it took them, 2 seconds to hack in? 10 seconds to break into their system? Mm-hmm. So if we're assuming this is a prequel, and they hack into their system, which is their entire goal in the first movie, they can't find that there's an Allspark in Megatron?
Well, they basically created the internet at the time.
Again, the internet's created in the 60s and 70s during the Vietnam War, but I guess
they don't worry.
So we have the Decepticons to thank for the internet?
Yes.
Thank you, Decepticons. Anyway, S7's headquarters is the Hoover Dam, which if you actually watch the preview, the Hoover Dam is in the preview. I've seen it after the fact. So, do you know who else is in Hoover Dam?
Megatron.
And
the Allspark.
Okay, just so we're clear.
The Allspark isn't a person, so you said who? So you said
what?
Who,
whatever.
Said who and what?
Anyways.
You're a teacher.
Anyway, so S7 using the Decepticons to create the World Wide Web, the web of information. They catch Bumblebee, or they know where he is. So B destroys the home like a dog would do. It's funny, but really, a dog would do it. Charlie's mom arrives home, and Charlie leaves angry and runs into S7. B gets captured and tortured by S7. The government calls Charlie a thief, saying she was stealing government property, but admitting that it was an alien.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't understand. How can you steal an alien?
That's a great question. I feel that it was a maybe. Actually, no. This is how you could steal an alien. The government finds an alien artifact, and they put. Well, actually, they didn't. She'd have to break into a facility. So yeah, they didn't. I don't know why. I don't know how anyone could explain that one.
But now, when he's destroying the home, Bumblebee, the reason they find him is he uses, I guess, one of his knives, and he puts it into an electrical outlet and gets electrocuted, like tons of volts of electricity into his body. Then he gets captured by the S7, and he gets electrocuted with their stun guns many times.
Yeah.
Okay. So her response to being grounded is to sneak out of her house and break onto a military base, which she does with ease.
That's true. How'd she do? Oh yeah, she just cut the wires and something that was electrocuted. It said danger electrocute.
And he's like, "How did you know that it wasn't? How did you know it wasn't electrocuted?" I didn't. That doesn't make any sense. Come on, you can't tell me that that's good. That's semi-good. You like this movie. Don't lie. You like this movie.
I never said it was good, but there's
you like it. Clear.
You can like a movie, and there's certain parts that you can't like. You literally just said that about Spider-Man.
Yeah, but I gave Spider-Man a 7.5. There were little nitpicks about the movie. So anyway, they're on this base, and the Decepticons are pounding Bumblebee to the I guess torture him. I don't know what they're doing. They're just punching him out, and they plan to they tell everyone their entire plan, how they're going to send a communication to get all of the Decepticons to come to Earth, because that's where the Autobots are going to be. We're going to take over the Earth. And the only person in this entire military base is Dr. Powell. The military's not there, because I guess when you have 3 aliens from another planet in your military base, you keep the army somewhere else.
Yeah. Just leave him alone. It's okay.
So Dr. Powell hears all of this, because the Decepticons, just instead of talking their Decepticon language, speak English right in front of the Doctor so he can hear them. And he radios in, Jack, we were wrong. They're all going to kill us all. Help me. And the Doctor just gets killed.
Yeah.
Then Shatter shoots Bumblebee in the head, killing him. Destroys his face. Mangles his face. Mm-hmm. Dead. But Charlie is able to revive him using some of those stun guns, those high voltage stun guns. He comes back to life, and not only do those stun guns bring him back to life, no, they give him his memory back too, which is why I have a problem with the whole memory thing, because he's been electrocuted twice and the memory doesn't come back. Why do these? It's like they needed to have his memory back at this moment, so they're like, you know what? The electricity woke him up.
It's the classic movie trope or TV show trope where, when you get hit in the head, you lose your memory. You get hit in the head again, it comes back. That's what seems to happen when you get shot in the face. You get your memory back. If you survive, that is.
No. I'm sorry. No. That just doesn't... You're dead. You can't just come back to life because you got hit with some guns. It doesn't make any sense. It's not logical. Again, you have to... We talked about this in Aquaman, the illogicalness to it. Get your nostalgia goggles off and look at the movie for what it is. Now, magically, he gets his memory back, but now he starts killing humans. He starts blowing all the humans up. His mission from Optimus Prime was to help humanity, save humanity, and here he is killing everyone.
I thought his mission was to make the base.
No, remember, Optimus says protect the humans.
And then, that's true. Oops.
Yeah. So then we get into the final sequence. The Decepticons have to use a huge tower to send a message. Why? Bumblebee can send this message with just by using his radio to send it across. In the first movie, he just has to hold his arm out to send a message to the Autobots. Mm-hmm. Why do the Decepticons need to use a tower to send their message?
Because it's all over the universe.
That's
That was just in the galaxy. They were on Saturn, remember?
Yes, but in the first movie, when he holds his arm up and they're not all they're not all there around. How does? Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Well, that's obviously. I'm just poking fun here. There's no way that they could have the fact that he was able to.
They needed a reason to have this final sequence. So this is what they do. It's horrible. It's brutal. It's almost unwatchable. Like, Charlie starts the car in the scrapyard. The message goes, we don't know how far that message went. They were on Saturn because they heard it. That message could have been going further and further.
That's true.
Anyways, B enters with... It makes zero sense. B enters with Charlie and tells him to... B tells her to wait in the garbage can, and the garbage can gets hit. So she's now going to run to try to take this, to climb this thing.
The green pill thing.
Yeah.
The cylinder from Aquaman. It was used in Bumblebee.
Yeah. So the Decepticons shoot down the military plane, which B is going to save. And the only person who survives it is...
John Cena.
Yeah,
man.
twice.
This guy just survives these explosions. In helicopters.
Also, can we talk about how each of the Decepticons had two things they transformed into? They went from, like, Decepticon to car to plane to Decepticon to car to... How does that work?
It wasn't needed. I didn't like that aspect of the movie.
So B then kills Dropkick. Now, you know how he kills him? With a chain. He throws a chain on him as he's transforming, and it blows him up. Aren't these Decepticons built with ridiculously strong steel? How does a human train blow them up? I know you're a big fan of this final scene, so maybe you can tell me what you liked about it.
I told you what I like. I told you my first.
You said the fight sequences were good. This is a fight sequence.
I didn't like this fight sequence.
Oh, you like?
But I like the
first one. Okay, I agree with you. The first one was good.
All right, but I like the first one in the fight with Blitzwing. The other two, this fight.
Yeah, the fight with Blitzwing was fantastic. Mm-hmm. This was brutal.
Yeah.
Anyway,
the fact that they were bulletproof made sense. I like that one. Well, it made more sense that the humans couldn't really. And I feel like the reason why they talked in English was because they pretty much knew the humans couldn't do anything to stop them.
Okay, fair enough. Anyways, so he kills Dropkick, and now in true Transformers fashion, in the true Transformers way, it is Charlie. It is the teenage girl. It's not the super advanced Transformers. It's not the military. It's the 18-year-old kid that deactivates the machine to save humanity. That's what Transformers is about. 18-year-old saving the day. Excuse me.
That's true. That's fair. What I would say, though, I can kind of see that one as more realistic. Only reason being is they're more distracted by Bumblebee and the military shooting that one lady.
The military was long gone by this point. I meant before she even started her climb.
Yeah, but I feel like it's a lot more... See, the lady was more interested in getting the message out and watching Bumblebee and whatever his name was, I forget.
But if it happened once, I'm with you. But every Transformer movie, it's Shia LaBeouf, it's Shia LaBeouf, it's Shia LaBeouf. It's now
Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's the characters that aren't trained.
But this one is the one to me makes more sense than the one with Shia LaBeouf that blowing up and like, yeah, take this thing, or the one where Mark Wahlberg stopped that sword from the Transformer.
Oh my god! This is what I'm saying though. But that's Transformers fashion. Yeah. It's the the random civilian that they choose to focus on. That's got to be the hero. That doesn't make it's not. It makes it takes away from the essence. Are you telling me an 18-year-old girl is going to climb up some construction thing, jump across a platform, and pull herself up?
Who knows, man? We haven't been in that scenario where the world's about to end, so we can't judge.
Then B destroys the canal, and water pours in. The huge oil tanker that comes in destroys Shatter, but B sinks to the bottom of the place.
Yeah, I don't know what the point of that was.
Then Charlie decides, because she's a diver, I'm going to dive in. Forget all the fire and the concrete and the pieces of everything everywhere. I'm going to jump in to do what? To save Bumblebee? To grab her out of the water? Grab him out of the water?
She just wanted to check if he was dead or not. Maybe they just wanted to go for a nice swim together. It was a swim meet. Who knows? But like, I don't know what.
I feel like that's. So anyway, so B comes out and burns the sole soldier remaining is like, you can go before the military comes. Instead of saying, look, you might want to stay because we need to. If these more Decepticons come, we could use your help to help us again because clearly. We need 18-year-old girls and 18-year-old boys to help us with these Decepticons
and a grown man that makes junk and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Because God forbid the army is intelligent at all. No wonder people have no faith in things like this. Look at these movies. So why not work with them? You know the Decepticons are bad. Like listen, I saw it all. This guy saved us. This is the guy that's going to help us in case more people come. But he says no. Go, run away, and then he gets it, soldier. Give you a nice little salute. And then gives the Breakfast Club little arm away. Horrible. Horrible writing. And then they go to San Francisco, like where the Golden Gate Bridge is. And B's like, come with me. Let's go fight all the Decepticons. Charlie, like a normal person, says, I'm sorry, I can't fight your war. I'm an 18-year-old. So B meets up with Optimus, the Autobots arrive, and again, here's my question. Why Earth? If you're the Autobots, why are you create Optimus is supposed to be a good guy. Why are you creating a base of operations on another planet that has life when you know the Decepticons are coming to hunt you down? It makes sense in the first movie because they're going to find their Allspark. Yeah. And they know the Decepticons are coming on their own. If they don't come and help the humans, the Decepticons will destroy the planet. And then they stay because their planet's been destroyed and they think the Decepticons are destroyed, so they're going to help the humans out in case the Decepticons come back. It makes sense. In this movie, the Autobots are now putting the Earthlings in harm's way.
Well, now it all makes sense for why the humans never trust the Autobots, because they bring them over all the time. They bring the Decepticons over. But yeah, I feel like the only reason why they just didn't write why Earth was so important, and in movies and like TV shows, it's explained a lot more better. But in this movie, not so much.
And then it's long. It's shorter than all the other movies, but it seems longer. I was looking at what I watched the entire time. It makes the U.S. military look absolutely stupid. Probably worse than the other movies combined. Incompetent, stupid. At least in the first couple movies, you had the Josh Duhamel character who at least was smart and wanted to work with them. Mm-hmm. Even though it felt long. You have oh my god. So the hot like mean girls in the movie, that actually make fun of Charlie because her dad died.
Yeah, I always think that's messed up.
Like nobody does. That's not a real character.
Yeah. Oh, why don't you get your dad to buy you a new car? Oh, wait.
It's so 80s. The hot loner girl with the mean girls, the nerd crush, the dialogue in general. The parents are just completely dumb in this entire movie. I can't think of I don't have very many saving graces in it. I don't know. I think that this movie, and I'll ask you what you think. That things in this movie are done just to drive the plot forward. That there's no actual purpose to anything.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Okay. Can B carry this film, or did he carry? Was he successful in carrying this film?
No. You know why? 'Cause I told you I don't like Bumblebee. He's one of the worst characters in Transformers, but they made him the main character for some reason. But this movie's still good. No, I'm just
So here's another question. This movie is getting really good reviews. It's in the 90s on Rotten Tomatoes. What do people like about it? You like it, at least somewhat. Where is that? What am I missing?
I told you, everyone has the nostalgia goggles on for the first 5 minutes of the film.
You can't. 94% of people can't have nostalgia goggles on.
That's pretty accurate. I think a lot of people have nostalgia goggles. Have you played the first GoldenEye? People still think that game's amazing.
It isn't. Don't, let's not criticize GoldenEye, okay? I'm in that boat. All right, let's talk about the love story in this movie. Charlie and Memo. Memo we haven't talked about because I think Memo is a pointless character. He is the Megan Fox of Bumblebee.
Yeah.
So one of the most, I think, the cheesiest or corniest lines was the last line, like in the movie, where the two of them are together and he goes to grab her hand. She's like, "We're not there yet." I mean, this is a nitpick, but really, you just saved the world together, gave him a kiss on the cheek. You can't hold hands. Like,
she gave him a kiss on the cheek. If she really cared about him, she would have loved him.
I don't know.
Well, everything's blown up, so their love isn't real because everything has to be blown up for it to be.
Also, one more thing. Optimus, we see, was on the planet, right?
Yeah.
So where was he during this fight sequence at the end?
He just got here.
He did not just do not start with that. He was here because like 2 hours later, he was driving on the Golden Gate Bridge. All right.
We don't know. That could have been like days later. It could be months.
No, because she was in the car and then they went back to her house right after.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, no.
I don't know where he was, what he was doing. Okay, listen, he has a lot of other operation. He's creating the base, he's getting it cozy for everybody to move in. There's more important things to do than saving the world sometimes.
I have nothing to say to that. I really do. All right, I gave you my reasons why I don't like it. You want to convince me why I'm wrong?
I never convince you why you're wrong. I just like after the when we had the car ride home, sometimes I just feel like pulling your buttons. And
so what would you give this out of 10?
I'd give this probably 4 failed Starscream takeovers out of 10.
Oh, so you were pulling my chain. Okay, because I thought I was expecting a 6 from you. I honestly was.
You thought I would give it a... Wow.
You were talking 7s in the car ride home. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I just like pulling your chain. You riled up.
Oh,
what's going on?
I'm sorry. For the 2 is my number where if you hit a 2 or lower, you're unwatchable. And I would give this movie a 2.5. So it is very close to being unwatchable. I will agree with Xavier. There are some great nostalgia goggles that you can put on. I think they finally get the
15 minutes.
The first 15 minutes, I would agree. And they get the look of the Transformers right.
Yeah.
They finally get that right.
The Transformers have never looked better.
And the last thing I'll say, so I will say there's 3 positives in this movie that get it to a 2.5. The look of the Transformers.
You say it like it's a good thing. That's the thing.
What? The nostalgia from it. Oh, and actually, one more thing before.
There's 3 things that made it achieve a 2.5, everybody.
And the third was the soundtrack was great. The music.
The music was great.
Even though they did ruin one song.
No, they didn't. They didn't ruin the song. The song will never be ruined.
What? Do you know what song I'm talking about?
Is it You Got the Touch?
Do you know when they played? Did you catch when they played that in this movie?
When she went to go do the dive.
Yeah, I know. That's a classic Transformers song used in the epic moment when Megatron and Optimus are about to fight each other. Mm-hmm. And they use that for a failed dive attempt when the Mean Girls criticize her for her dad dying. Yeah. You think they didn't ruin that song a little bit?
No. The song can never be ruined. Nostalgia goggles, baby.
You got the touch. So there you have it. 2.5 for me and what'd you say? 4? Yeah. All right. So... on to our last little order of business.
I'd give this movie 7 if I saw Starscream, but no Starscream.
So I have a question. If you think it was a prequel, what would you give it?
If it was a prequel, oh my god, this movie's a 1.
You go lower than I went. Oh, yeah. Interesting. Okay.
It's a prequel, it's a 1 or 2, probably 2.
I guess if I knew it was a prequel, I'd probably drop it 0.5 too. But no, I'll stick with 2.5 for now. All right, our last order of business. You challenged me last week with some trivia. I was going to make some trivia for you, and you're like, no. You thought you could have me. So, you want to explain to me how you came about your business?
Yes. So, I created the ultimate quiz, formed from a bunch of quizzes that I took. I had more fun doing the quizzes than making it. This is based on the MCU, since you love it so much. It's your favorite movie franchise.
So what you're telling me is I'm getting 20 out of 20? How many questions did you make?
I made 10.
Oh, you only made 10? Oh, boy. So 10 out of 10.
You're not going to get 10 out of 10.
Okay. I'm accepting. All right, what's the first question?
Okay. Question 1. How many Iron Man standalone movies are there?
All right, so I'm gonna get. I know the answer, but I'm gonna give everyone some time to participate because if I get it right away, it's not as fun. All right. So if everyone's thinking at home, you got to remember there's the first Iron Man that came out in
should
like.
I not hum that in case we get billed for copyright? So
Probably.
not.
There's Iron Man 2, which was the third movie in the franchise, and then there's
What year was it? Oh yeah, Mr. History guy doesn't know his dates.
The first one's 09, right? 09, 010. I would say 2011 is the second one. You don't even know. And then
2008.
Oh, the second was 2008?
No, first one is 2008.
Oh,
We're
that's
celebrating 10 years of Marvel history, and you forgot? Oh my goodness, this guy.
There's 3 of them. There's 3 Iron Mans. That's an easy. Come on, that's the hardest question.
You couldn't even know what year Iron Man was made.
Why don't you should have asked me that question? All right, second question.
Who directed Thor in 2011?
That would be the same director of Disney's Cinderella. That would be the actor who was the main character in Murder on the Orient Express. I think he might have directed that as well. Kenneth Branagh.
Okay, perfect. All right, let's get a little bit harder here. What's the name of the rival shrinking tech in Ant-Man? So there's
I don't know.
There's the Ant-Man shrinking tech, and then there's the bad guy in Ant-Man. He has his own shrinking tech.
Like Yellow Jacket? Is that what you're going for? I'm not sure if that's the question.
Yes.
Oh,
you got it right.
Why did you say the villain of Ant-Man? Like the rival? Like it's not. Is the actual technology called Yellow Jacket?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. So this one's not MC. Well.
Wow, you're at an MCU quiz. You don't even have all MCU questions.
This is just the one non-MCU, but it's very.
Wow.
But this is a history of Marvel movies as well, so I'll just do this one. Okay. Which film was the first film to use the flipping pages from Marvel?
Oh, that's not a question. Oh my, how would I? Oh.
Well, which film was it?
Okay, it's not MCU. All right, let's think through this. It'd probably be a Spider-Man. That would make the most sense. That's a good question. Well, it's not a good question because
it is. You just said it.
It's not about the movie itself.
You can't get it right.
I will go. I go in the Spider-Man franchise.
Okay, you're right.
I will say would that just be Spider-Man 1? No, maybe Spider-Man. No, Spider-Man 3.
Well, you screwed yourself.
Oh well,
you're wrong. It's the first Spider-Man.
Oh, I should have opened my gut instinct.
Yeah. You're an idiot.
Yeah, because that's
okay. Back to the MCU. That's the only one that's out of the MCU.
How about you ask me questions about the movies, not like directors or
right.
when?
Here's a question about the movie. Which movie first referenced Dr. Stephen Strange? If you want, I have a
Winter Soldier.
Oh, okay, good. So I didn't have to give you the.
I can tell you the scene when they're throwing the guy over the building and Falcon catches him, and I said we could do this all day, or I didn't actually say that. Mm-hmm. He's like, we're monitoring everyone, like Tony Stark and Dr. Stephen Strange.
Oh, good. Okay, so that's okay. Okay, this one's a little easy. Which Avenger had a cameo in the first Thor?
Ooh, the first Thor. Huh. Well, does Coulson count?
It's not Avenger. He's the agent of
S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh
my God! I'm not gonna lie. I did stumble on this, but it is Hawkeye.
Oh, perfect.
Forgot he was in that one sequence.
Okay. What year were Maria and Howard Stark killed?
Oh, that's a good question because I have no idea.
Oh my!
I don't even know if I have a decade for it. Oh, that's like
you're pulling my leg.
No, I am not. I honestly don't even have a decade for it. It probably was right in the first movie too. It was probably in one of the articles when they were explaining who Tony Stark was.
It's all over Captain America: Civil War.
Civil War, probably in Winter Soldier, probably in the first Iron Man.
I think it was in. Yeah, it was in the. I think it was in.
Is it in the 80s? Because it's not in the 80s. I'm wrong. That's what I'm thinking.
It's not in the 80s.
No, when is it? 90s?
Yeah.
92?
Close. 91.
91. Late 80s. All right.
This one's an easy one. Which movie happened first in the MCU timeline? Which movie is first in the MCU timeline?
You
First
say
Avenger.
Winter
Soldier. You're wrong.
First Avenger.
Yeah, no, I'm just joking. Okay. Where was the Space Stone located?
Which one is the Space Stone? Is that like the Tesseract?
Ooh, okay. Someone got to get. Okay, so let's see. I had this one, but this question is way too easy. It's gonna be when was the MCU created, but I'm gonna create one off the top of my dome because that one is clearly too easy for you. All right.
I think next time I gotta be making the questions because I gotta say this is.
Listen, you got two wrong.
Yeah. Not. Oh, okay. You know what? Next time we do this, I'm gonna ask you the questions, and we're gonna see how well you know your movies.
Okay. I can do it.
Okay.
I believe in myself.
So we'll test this theory out.
Well, final question.
Okay, go ahead.
Final question. Okay. How many times has Loki been perceived to be killed?
Okay. Well, at the end of the first Thor, for sure. Mm-hmm. The end of the second Thor, for sure. Did he try to... In Ragnarok... Did he die in Ragnarok? I don't think he died.
No. He was with his brother. They were friends again.
So I think it's just 2.
Yeah, you're right, 2. Good job.
Okay.
Well done.
Well, next time
8 out of 10.
Next time I'm gonna ask some questions. I'm gonna really challenge you.
I thought you had the MCU. I thought you knew the MCU like crazy, but you didn't even know what year Marie and Hart's like in Civil War. That's all they say. What happened March 1st, 1991?
That one
so many times.
That's such not.
I thought that was the easy one for you.
No, that was a tough one. I did not know that one. All right. Well, we're at the end of our show, so I'll just kind of let you know what's on next week. We'll be on the next show. We'll be talking about Mary Poppins, Mary Queen of Scots, and the movie Vice. Or at least that's the goal. And we are going to be giving our worst, not our top, but our worst 10 movies of the year. In 2 weeks, you can hear our top 10 movies of the year.
Guess which one is number 1 is.
Right now, I think it's pretty good. There's a couple other ones. I gotta look back. I see so many movies in a year. You know what? Yesterday, I went to go see Spider-Man today. Do you know what that number that was for me on the year?
How much? Which one?
150th in theaters this year.
Oh my goodness!
That's right. And we got another.
I think I'm at 100.
We got another what? We're the 24th today. 24th, 26th, 29th. We got 7 more days left, and then to go see. Yeah, so I got a couple more to see before the end of the year. Maybe I'll hit 160. Probably not. So just thanks for listening, everyone, and hopefully you guys all have a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you before the New Year, though. Hopefully,
since 2018, we don't say Merry Christmas. We say Happy Holidays and Merry Christmas. If you celebrate Christmas.
Yeah, whatever you do. Enjoy your time off.
Yeah, and don't forget to like and subscribe as usual. Leave the comment section if you think Bumblebee is a prequel or a reboot.
Or even make fun of us for criticizing Aquaman, because that's decently liked too.
Yeah, and if you don't like our opinion on Aquaman, feel free to call us idiots and explain why we're idiots.
I thought we did a good job explaining why we didn't like these movies, but we're always up for the criticism. Enjoy it.
We're also on iTunes too, so if you want to go check out the iTunes show, search Rant on Wheels. We're there. Subscribe. We're everywhere and everywhere.
Well, thanks for listening and have a great day.
Take care, guys.